It's here. It's big. And it's closer than you think. It's not a tournament. It's what you don't see on TV. The cash is real. The stakes are high. They bet big. They win big. They lose big. High stakes live action poker. Live at the bike. Watch it live on the web or play it if you dare at the Bicycle Casino right here in Los Angeles.
Hello and welcome to the Live at the Bike. It's Tuckman solo. Going solo tonight. Bart is in Vegas. I'm here. Wednesday night. We've got a big game tonight. We've got 10-20, no limit hold'em. This is a $1,000 unrestricted buying game. You can buy in for as much as you want, and we've got an action-packed table. So let's get right to it. And I will fill you guys in on all of the what's happening with Bart over in Vegas during the show. Once again, it's a $1,000 game. We play this with brown chips and white chips. George Giorgio in seat number 1, the Greek poker guy. Seat number 2, we've got Amir. Seat number 3, we've got Jeff. And Jeff just wants to set the record straight. He doesn't think Live at the Bike is rigged, okay? He said that he was drinking that night, and he's over it. Okay, so we're over it, too. Seat number 4, we've got a new face to Live at the Bike. But he's a regular in the game. He plays the 5-10 game all the time with Bart and myself. This is Maurice. And Maurice's game has really, really improved in the last 6 months. Be interesting to see how he plays tonight. Seat number 5, we've got Bobby. And Bobby's one of those guys you never really know what you're going to get out of him. Sometimes he plays a real good, solid game, and sometimes he makes those mistakes, which some inexperienced no-limit players are prone to making. Seat number 6, we've got a real solid player in Kenny Wynn. Now, Kenny Wynn just doubled up right before the show started with pocket aces. Seat number 7, we've got Barry. Don't call me Greenstein Woods. I tangled up with a big hand against Barry Woods on Friday night, and I actually wrote a blog about it. You can check it out tomorrow when it's updated. Today's actually updated as well. Seat number 8, we have Ed. Ed is a very successful businessman who likes to play poker, likes to mix it up, likes to gamble. He's playing over Mo right now, and he's definitely going to put some action into this table. And seat number 9, Mr. Excitement, Mr. Mysterious, it's Alan, everybody's favorite. So let's get right into the action. Button is in seat number 4 spot, and it looks like Bobby is going to win this hand. Well, Maurice is going to bet on the button, and Bobby's going to call him with 2 pair, and Bobby's going to take it down. Once again, this is a 10-20 blind game, unrestricted buying game. We've got about $23,000 on the table right now. The brown chips you see are $10 chips. The white chips you see are $100 chips. See Kenny Wynn playing from there. Those little blue chips there are the dollar chips usually used for tokes. And that little yellow chip you see under, that's a $5 chip. But that's the primary ammunition in this game. I hope everybody had a good July 4th. Mine was great. Had some good chicken and some barbecued corn. I got to watch England really suck. I was very disappointed with that, I must say. World Cup action there. Finals of the World Cup, we've got Italy against France in all European finals. And this is going to limp around 3 ways. $60 pot. Flop is 5-5-4, rainbow. Nobody has a 5 here. The best hand is actually in seat number 4. Maurice has got ace-9. But Bobby is going to bet with, he's got a wheel draw, ace-deuce. And Barry's calling. I mean, he's almost floating one off here. You wonder if he's going to make a play on the turn. He's got absolutely nothing. Kind of an odd play by Barry here. And the turn is a 6. Well, Barry's open-ended now. And you wonder if Barry was going to make this play even if he didn't catch anything. And Bobby asks him if he has a straight, and Barry says, yeah, I do. And he shows him the 7. And Barry takes it off. And the river was a 3. Barry would have gotten there. Would have been an interesting card because Bobby would have gotten there as well. Got some really exciting things going on right now. Bart Hansen is in Vegas right now. He played in the first Omaha event. He played in the $2,000 event, which was on, I want to say, Monday. And got knocked out in about 3 hours. And then he had what was probably one of the biggest horror stories I've ever heard in my entire life. And I will fill you in on that later. I mean, I genuinely feel bad for him. I got to tell you. Once again, we like to keep the show as interactive as possible. At least I like to. So if you can email us, if you have any questions, concerns, criticisms, anything you want to say, email us at live@thebike.com. You can also follow a live thread over on 2plus2.com, spelled out 2plus2.com. Go to forums, go to televised poker and other events, and go to Live at the Bike for July 5th. And Barry's going to put out a little bet here. He's got top pair, no kicker. And Ed is going to call. He's open-ended. And Amir is going to overcall with bottom pair. Wow, this should have a lot of action tonight. A 3 on the turn changes nothing. Barry's still in the lead here.
Betting 180.
And Barry's going to bet $180. And, you know, Ed can safely call this bet. He really can. He might even be able to raise it up. Problem is he's got Amir behind him. Doesn't know what Amir called with. You might put Amir on, say, 8-9. Or even King-Jack. And Amir gets rid of his bottom pair. And the river is the 9 of clubs. And Ed backs into a pair. But it is not good. And Barry's going to win this hand. Let's see what he bets in the river.
Betting 320.
And he bets $320 into what is about a $600 pot. So the pot is now about $850, $320 to call. And Ed is going to pay him off. He catches a pair of 9s, he's going to pay him off. And Barry wins himself about a $1,100 pot. So once again, you can email us at live@thebike.com. If I don't get to them, I do apologize. I'm going to be doing most of the show tonight alone. Button moves over to Barry Woods in seat number 7. And there it is, the official Live at the Bike thread. Started by Kev Math, our favorite. And this looks like it's going to limp around. We're limped around 6 sways. $120 pot. Let's see the flop. And there it is. 10-7-5. Couple of diamonds out there. And nobody has diamonds. Nobody has a 10. Nobody has a 7. And it checks around. The turn is the ace of diamonds. Now, George is the biggest diamond in his hand. He has the jack of diamonds. He's also picked up a gut shot straight draw. And Maurice is going to bet his ace, though, now. And he bets $60. Kind of a smallish bet. And Eddie's going to call this with just bottom pair. No diamond in his hand. And Alan's going to call now as well. Alan's got the same hand. I mean, it's one thing to call with bottom pair if you've got a diamond draw as well, but you're calling with bottom pair and no redraw whatsoever. I just don't understand what you're calling for. And the river is the 9 of diamonds, and Maurice has made 2 pair, but he doesn't have a diamond in his hand, but he's going to win this.
2 pair, ace and 9.
I mean, he's shocked. You know, normally if you bet the ace there's 3 diamonds out there. You get called in 2 spots. The river is a 4th diamond. There's no way you expect to win that pot. But Ed and Alan both call him with bottom pair, no diamonds. Man, unbelievable. This game promises to be a lot of action with Ed, Alan, Amir. Now, Jeff in seat 3, he's taking a step up here. We see him playing the 3 to 5 game often. He wants to take that step up in this game. Pretty good player. We saw him play a pretty solid brand of poker, I think, last Thursday. And he's been on the show a few times now. It's always interesting to see somebody take a step up, see if it affects their game, see if they kind of play it a little bit too passive, almost too scared. And he's going to make it $100 here with a couple of Cowboys. He's got pocket kings. And really interesting here, Barry Woods has got pocket jacks. And Barry Woods is going to smooth call that. I like the smooth call by him. And I believe Jeff is only in there for $1,000. And we're going to see this heads up. Nice lay down by Amir. Amir easily lays down ace-jack offsuit. That's a hand that Amir might have gotten himself into trouble with just a little while ago. Wow, and there's top set there for Jeff. And he's going to check it. And Barry's going to bite.
Betting 200.
Now, normally we talk about building yourself a pot, but in this case, Jeff only has $1,000. So he can play this a little slow. I don't mind the way he's playing this hand at all. Now, the pot is about $600. And he actually announced a raise here. He gets the check raise in, and that'll probably be the end of it. I wouldn't have minded the check call. I really wouldn't have. You got to realize how big the pot is, and he's going to move all in. And he's going to let Barry up the hook. Now, he gets $200 extra out of it. You wonder if he had bet the flop if Barry even calls with 2 jacks. Probably not. Turn was a 9 of hearts. Wouldn't have changed anything. And the river being a queen. Now, I probably a lot of different ways to play that hand when you're only $1,000 deep. Now, after you make it $100 to go, you've got $900 behind. A lot of ways to play that hand. You can play it slow. You can check, call. You can even check again on the turn. And then maybe on the river put a little bet in there. And you can still get all your money in there. You can also check, call, and then lead out on the turn. Many different ways to play that hand. Allen's got the button in seat 9. Small blinds, $10. Big blinds, $20. And Jeff, he's going to limp it under the gun with King 6 of diamonds. Not a hand that I'm going to be playing too much out of position. You got to remember, we always talk about position being so important in No Limit Hold'em. Now, Ed's going to raise it up. He makes it $100 to go with pocket 3s. And Allen's going to call with ace 7 of diamonds. Now, Kenny had limped in with ace queen of spades. Is there any way he's going to do the limp re-raise? Especially after George calls this with 7-8 hearts. And Maurice calls. And you know what? Kenny Winger's going to call this too. And we're going to see this 5 ways. The pot is quickly $540. We've got pocket deuces, pocket 3s, ace 7 of diamonds. And there you see it. Wow. And there's a set of deuces for Maurice. He has made bottom set. Now, Ed, he's got a gut shot straight draw. Nobody else has much of anything. And Maurice is going to immediately bet it. I don't mind this play at all. There's a good chance somebody might have pocket 8s, pocket 9s, or even pocket jacks. You want to put some money in that pot and maybe get raised by the raiser. And Maurice bets $360 and Ed calls. And this pot is quickly going to be about $1,250. And it's heads up here. And Ed needs a 3 or a 5. Or running clubs. Wow, and there's the 4 clubs. Now, Maurice has got a full house. But Ed has a straight flush draw. He's got a gut shot to the straight flush. If the 5 of clubs were to come, it's good. Also, Ed can catch a 3 to win this pot. Ed can also catch a 4 to win this pot. He's picked up some additional outs.
Betting 660.
And Maurice is going to bet $660. Now, a club is no good unless it's a 5 of clubs, specifically the 5 of clubs. Ed needs one of the remaining 3s, one of the remaining 4s, or the 5 of clubs. He has 5 outs to the win, and that's it. Oh, wow, and that's a trouble card. It's the 5 of diamonds, and Ed has made the straight, but Maurice is a full house. Maurice has 2s full of 4s, and Ed has the straight. And the pot is very big right now. The pot is about $2,600. I really think if you're Maurice, you can bet it all here. No need to be cagey here.
Betting 900. Race. Make it 2,000 total.
Wow.
I have a straight.
A straight is no good as Maurice has got a full house. Now Maurice made it 900 to go.
Does he have 2,000?
And then Ed raised it up to 2,000.
Pocket three more that night.
And Maurice quickly calls, kind of puts his hand up in the air, thinking maybe this guy's got 5-4 or something. But you got to realize that Ed raised pre-flop. Unless Ed has pocket sixes or pocket fives, you
Now,
probably
wait a
got him
minute.
beat.
Don't count the 700 and some odd that I put in there. You're
I-
counting that?
No, the last bet he bet 990. Just left it there.
And then Maurice actually bet 990, and you made it $2,000 there, Ed. So the pot was 4,000. That pot was a grand total of $6,600 that Maurice is going to win. $6,600. Maurice wins himself about $3,300 in new money. Wow, not a bad hand at all. And that's one of the reasons we play those small pocket pairs. Huge implied odds. And normally, you're going to make a lot of money because somebody's going to have a big overpair, but in that case, Ed just could not get away from the threes.
Thank you.
And I see the first post from Dopey. He says, as much as I like listening to Tuckman, I was hoping Bart would be back in the booth tonight. I thought he might tell us some of his memorable hands from the 5,000 no-limit event. Now, that's just cruel. Anybody not wondering what exactly this is talking about, here it is. Yeah, with Bart in Vegas, $5,000 poor after the 5K no-limit debacle. Bart was buying himself in. He went down to Vegas to play in Monday's $2,000 Omaha high-low split event, and then to play in Thursday's, tomorrow's Omaha high-low split $5,000 event. Well, he went up to the cashier at the Rio, and he bought in for both events. Well, at least he thought he bought in for both events. What he actually did was he bought in for the $2,000 Omaha event, and by accident, I guess the cashier screwed up or whatever happened, he ended up buying himself into yesterday's $5,000 no-limit event. Unfortunately for him, he didn't realize this mistake until about 10:30 last night. He then called me up about 10:30 last night, said, Dave, you're the first person I'm calling about this. What do I do? And I was like, man, I don't know. I felt so bad for him. He ended up going back to Harrah's and back to the Rio and pleading his case. And according to him, they were very nice, and unfortunately, they really couldn't do anything about it.
Yeah, but it's gonna
So Bart basically flushed $5,000 down the toilet. Unfortunately for him, I think he's still going to play the Thursday's event, tomorrow's $5,000 Omaha event. Just really unfortunate. You know, basically he said he got his ticket, he looked down, saw that it said $5,000 and just assumed that it was the Omaha event and didn't look close enough. Oh, man, what a nightmare. And Bart will be back in the booth next Monday. And I'm sure he will give a full detailed report on what exactly happened. Now we're going to see this four ways. There was a small raise in there, and there's the ace. Now George has got Amir out-kicked, and Amir's in really bad shape because he's only 110 left. And George is going to bet when he gets checked around to him, and Amir's going to call at 320. And this pot is quickly $1,000. And Amir's in terrible shape. The turn is a 7, and George's queen still plays here. And he moves all in, and Amir can only beat a bluff. I mean, he can really beat nothing. He's drawing dead, pretty much dead. If George has got a set here, Amir would need an ace and only an ace. I mean, you got to start thinking, what would George make this play with? I mean, is it possible that George has got something like 6-8 or 6-8 of hearts or a heart draw? That's really all you can beat. I mean, I don't think George is going to be this aggressive with, say, ace-9. Now, Amir can chop this up if the river comes out with a 7 or an ace or a king. Remember, it's your best 5 cards and hold them. So right now, George has got aces and 7s with a queen kicker. Amir's got aces and 7s with a 10 kicker. And Amir, I think he's shaking his head. I think he knows he's in trouble. Pot is about, I want to say George is in there for another 900. So the pot is about $2,000, 900 to call. And Amir is going to call. He makes a crying call here. And he's going to need a king. A 9 is not going to do it. And George is going to double up there. And you got to hate the 9 if you're Amir, because that's one more hand you can't beat. You can't even beat ace 9 now. And that's the problem. You know what? When you call a small raise with ace 10 of clubs on the button, that's not the flop you're looking for. You're not looking for the ace. You're looking for 2-pair. You're looking for trips. You're looking for some sort of draw. You got to be careful with those weak aces. And you know what? You talk about ace rag. Now, ace 10 suited is clearly better than, say, ace 6 or ace 7. But not much, especially when you start playing against a good player who's putting some heat on you. So anyway, so Bart basically, he basically bought in for the wrong event, didn't realize it until it was too late. And, man, I mean, could that suck any worse? Jeez, I feel so bad for the guy. Unbelievable.
I'm going to make a move, man. Here it is. I want to win a hand. 120.
And Ed is going to raise this up in early position with queen 6 of diamonds. Maybe a little steam in there. And wow, Alan's going to call it ace 7. I got to tell you, even if I know somebody's steaming, I'm not going to call a raise with ace 7. I might re-raise him and isolate him. I might make it 400 with ace 7 there and isolate the player who's kind of steaming off money. But I'm not going to call. Now, Maurice is going to call with pocket deuces. They worked for him last time. Why not try it again? And Kenny is going to sense the weaknesses. He's going to re-raise here. Makes it 500 more. And Ed is just throwing his money all in there. And how much did he have left? How much did Ed go all in for? And Ed has moved all in for just 100 there. And that's going to get, I'm assuming Maurice is going to throw away his deuces. And we're going to have ace-queen against queen 6. For about $600. $660 maybe. Kenny takes back the 300. And Ed needs a 6 and only a 6 here. See what happens with some sort of diamond or some lucky straight. We'll see what happens. There's the 6, but there's the ace. Kenny's way ahead here. Both players have a pair. Oh, wow. Now, Kenny also has the ace of spades, the 8 of spades on the turn. And the river is a deuce of spades, and Kenny makes the absolute nuts here. He has the nut flush. Obviously, there's a straight flush out there possibility, but not going to happen this time. And Ed is going to ask for some more money there. I think he's quickly down about $4,000. Maybe even 5. Thank you, Ronnie. Once again, we're live at the bike. I'm David Tuckman. Here doing it solo. Bart Hansen is in Vegas at the World Series of Poker. We're playing No Limit Hold'em. Blinds are 10 and 20. This is an unrestricted buy-in game. You can buy in for as much as you want. Button moves over to seat number 4. Once again, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, or you just want to say hi, feel free to email me at live@thebike.com. I do read them. Pocket queens for Amir in seat number 2.
8 playing 5,000 behind.
And Ed is going to buy in for $5,000.
If you want, I can put it in the back pocket. Is that okay? Is that what's behind you?
And the action is on Ed right now. He's not going to play. And George is going to limp in with 5-6 offsuit. And Amir's going to raise. Makes it 110 total. And I don't think we're going to see a flop here. Now, I've got a lot of exciting news to talk about during the show. I actually finally got another book here. I got the No Limit Hold'em Theory and Practice book by Sklansky and Ed Miller. There it is. Finally got in the mail. It's actually pretty good, I got to tell you. I'm enjoying it. I'm only about 60 pages through it. It has a lot of the same stuff that the Theory of Poker book has, but I like it. I think it's well written, and I think it's easy to understand. I'm also recommending Phil Gordon's little green book, Lessons and Teachings in No Limit Texas Hold'em. Got that book right here. Very cool book. And after I finish reading this, I'll put a little review, maybe a little book review on our site, so you can check it out. I've also updated my blog. You can look on the left side of the site. Go there, Tuckman Under the Gun. Updated with the latest, kind of an interesting hand that I played in Vegas. Let me know what you think about it. We're going to see the 6 ways linked around $120 pot. Ace King 3 Rainbow. Now Alan's got Ace Queen suited actually, and he's going to bet 150. And more often than not, if Alan is betting here, he's got minimum of an ace, and probably not a weak ace. I mean, maybe Ace 10, Ace Jack, but the one thing with Alan's game, you know, he so rarely raises pre-flop unless he's got a big pocket pair. And Alan takes it down. Anyway, so I haven't heard great things about the Sklansky-Miller book, so I decided I wanted to read it myself, though. You know, and as much as, yeah, obviously he steals a lot from Theory of Poker, you know, a lot of the stuff from Theory of Poker is relevant when you're talking about No Limit Hold'em. Thank you. And I like the book so far, I just say. We got our own mini-series of poker going on right here at the bike. Today's event was actually a Limit Hold'em event, $150 buy-in. Tomorrow's event is a No Limit Hold'em event, $250 buy-in. Weekday, the tournaments start at 7:15 p.m. Weekends, tournaments start at 4:15 p.m. You can go to thebike.com for the tournament schedule.
So you had 6 Ace 3, huh? You had me.
He had King 9. Whatever. You had me.
Sometimes I have hard time to figure out what I have. I don't know what you got.
We're going to limp around here. Buttons in seat 6, that's Kenny Wynn.
Hey, you're on the hot seat today. Hi, Ken.
And Kenny's going to make it 200 more to go. Now, oftentimes I like the raise here. Now, against a lot of players, obviously, you might think, well, this is a button steal. Maybe he's trying to steal all the dead money. Kenny Wynn's got such an image that he could do that with nothing. In this case, he actually has pocket aces. Nobody's going to think he's stealing. And apparently that's the 3rd time he's had pocket aces today. He had one right before the show I told you about where he doubled up off Ed.
Oh, I don't want that on there. I'll take it. Can we, like, bid for cards from each other? I wish.
Get an email here from Terrence. Terry in Canada. He says, hey, man, I was watching Wednesday night when the grinder was about to call Barry Wood's $4,000 bet on Trip Queens. The grinder appeared to be pushing all in with his jacks. He folded, right? He needs to know. He did fold, yes. Hope that helps.
Hey, I'll give the right to you, so what's...
I want to give you a bad beat.
Or vice versa.
No, I don't want to take one.
Thank you for the email. Appreciate it.
So I play.
King 9 suited.
Yeah, he would have
Giving you a bad beat.
And the buttons moved over to seat number 9. Small blind 10, big blind 20, and Jeff is under the gun. On other news, our own Robert Turner actually finished, I believe, in 13th place in the Omaha $2,000 event. Probably a little bit disappointing for him, considering he was chip leader with about 50 people left, and I think he was like 3rd in chips with like 19 people left. But they don't call him Chip Burner Turner for nothing. 9-7-6 there, and Allen's got top and bottom. Now Amir's open-ended here. Now, Amir made it $100 to go, and Allen's raised up $200. Now, when Allen raises, he's not raising on the come. He has a minimum here of top pair, good kicker, and probably more likely 2 pair. He might even have 9-8. And Amir is just going to throw it away, and that's the problem with Allen's game. He rarely gets action on his big hands. The turn and the river were both black jacks, and Allen still would have won this with 2 pair. Obviously, 3 pairs, no good.
Well, it's my favorite hand, and it's the most favorite number.
How are you?
And I don't know why. You need to
Would you give me shit cards?
Why is it his?
Yeah, exactly. For once,
So if anybody's wondering if Bart is still going to play in tomorrow's event, I think he is. He's actually taken it really well. He kind of just looked at it and he said, you know, what am I going to do? I live and learn. A lot of limping, not much raising pre-flop at all. I mean, you've got a lot of callers in this game. Not too many raisers. And we're going to see this 7 ways. Limped around, $140 pot. 7-4-4. And Kenny's got trip 4s with the ace kicker.
Thank you, darling. Oh, these are my cards.
Now, normally, you know, Bart and I always talk about betting out with your trips. But you've got to realize that a player like Kenny, he might not get any action if he bets it out. And he's got to check it again. Wow.
I check it.
And nobody even has an ace there. And Allen's going to bluff at it. Allen's going to take a shot at it with Jack 9. And Kenny can only call here. He really can't raise.
Two players.
And I got to tell you, if you're Kenny, I just check and call. I mean, it's Allen betting. I don't think you can, yeah, and he's going to check it. And Allen bets $200, and I got to tell you. And Kenny really put him on a thought. Maybe he had a 7 there. Checks there to induce the bluff and gets an extra $200 out of Allen. You know, most players, obviously, you're not going to put another an aggressive player on a 7 there, but when Allen bets, he so rarely bluffs that it's hard not to give him credit. Post here from Jaff911. He goes, hey, Tuck, what would Mrs. Tuck do or said if I was in Bart's shoes? Oh, man, I don't know. You know, I think she'd be pretty cool about it. As much as she'd probably, you know, later on, like maybe 2 weeks down the line, she might call me a complete moron and smack me across the head. At the time, though, I think she'd be really cool because realizing how bad I would feel. You know? You know, I think hopefully months from now, you know, we can laugh about it. Right now, obviously, Bart's probably a little upset about the whole thing. But that's not going to stop me from making fun of him.
I can't lose this hand.
You know, Bart said something on Friday night that I've got to share with you guys. You know, Bart said some amazing things, but this is quoted. I mean, I actually wrote this down. And Amir's going to raise it up here with King, Queen suited. He makes it a $90 to go. Jeff is going to call with a normally dominated hand, but in this case, it's actually dominating Amir. Barry's going to call with King 8 of diamonds, and that's going to bring Ed in. And we're going to see this 4 ways. Pot is about $400, $360. If clubs come, Ed is in bad shape. If 8s come, Ed's in bad shape. But if an ace comes, well, then it's all Jeff.
I check to Amir.
And Amir's tossed a $1,000 chip in there. I'm sure he's not betting that much, though. And he bet $200 into about a $360 pot. And Jeff is going to immediately raise this. And you know what? In this case, yeah, it's going to work. But you've got to realize how dominated, how bad off you can be if you have ace-queen there. I mean, I guess if you're going to call a raise pre-flop and you flop an ace, well, how else are you going to play it? Get a chip count coming up right now. About $27,000 on the table. Maurice has got the table covered. He's got $7,000. Ed with $5K. Barry with $4,700. Bobby and Amir bringing up the rear there, only about $1,000 each. Let's see how they're doing. Wow, Ed down a quick $5K, and Maurice up almost $5K. We'll keep track of this throughout the evening. Okay, so Friday night we're sitting here, and we're sitting in the booth, and we're talking after the show. And we're all kind of just talking about, well, probably more often than not, we're talking about sex. I think there was actually a female in the booth. And she was talking about how you can tell if a guy is good in bed or not.
No.
And for some reason, it came up to this guy Matt, who's a math teacher. And Bart actually said this. He said, I don't think Matt would be that good in bed. So we all kind of did like a double take, looked at him, and exactly, I didn't even know what to say to him. What do you say to him there? Of course, then, Bart tried to backtrack and go, from a guy's perspective, that is. I go, okay, that's good. Maurice is going to bet here with a pair of tens, and he's going to take it down. But that was the exact quote. I don't think Matt would be that good in bed. Man, the things Bart says, you never know what you're going to hear. That might go down with his infamous lisp thing.
I gotta win a hand.
Just for the fun of it.
Once again, we get some limping around. And it looks like Barry's going to raise out of the small blind. I got to tell you, against a normal table, I don't mind raising once in a while with a hand like that. But you got to realize that when you have Ed to your left, you end up committing an awful lot of chips
I don't know what the hell that means.
out of position with a hand that can be really hard to play out of position. And you look at this now with Ed calling, that's going to bring in George. And when George calls, that's going to bring in Maurice. And now the pot is about $500. And you're in there with ace queen off suit out of position. What do you do when you miss the flop? And here you go. You missed the flop completely. The best hand is actually George with pocket fours. And what is Barry going to do here? I mean, are you just going to shut down, or are you going to throw $500 in there? And he makes what really is a pretty much of a bullshit bet, $180. And I got to tell you, that's going to at least get a call. Yeah, here, you're going to get a call from George. That'll probably get Maurice out. I don't think Maurice can overcall. But I think Maurice probably would have called if George hadn't called. You just don't buy it from Barry. If Barry had queens or kings or aces, he is probably going to bet, say, $400 or $500 on that flop. Barry giving an awful lot of information away by that smallish bet. And he's going to continue betting here. And he bets rivers and 8 of spades. And is Barry just going to keep firing into him or what? And Barry's a little bit confused here. He has nothing. You got to realize there's a good chance that George has you beat. You got to hope maybe George is calling you down with, say, King Jack of diamonds. And then he missed his diamond draw.
Such a fish,
What?
George takes down about a $1,200 pot there. Actually, closer to $1,400, sorry. That's the problem with ace-queen out of position, you know? Really can be a tough hand to play out of position. Even if you hate your ace, you don't really know where you're at.
How about if with all those overcards you fold? How about you missed your straight? You missed your straight.
I was on the street. I had a prayer.
Oh, yeah, fours.
I got one
You played
overcard.
that so poorly. You should have
So the mini-series of poker goes on until July 27th, and then
That's true.
I think our tournament crew gets about a week off, and then we get into our busiest time of the year, which is Legends. Pretty much everybody and anybody that is in poker is here at the Bicycle Casino. So, should be a lot of fun. Limped around. Flop is ace, 9, 6, 2 diamonds. Maurice has got top pair. And he's going to put $50 in there. Kind of a let me see where I'm at bet. And George is going to call with a diamond draw. And he gets there. Kenny is not in the hand anymore. And George is going to bet $200 right into it. And you know what? It's an easy hand for Maurice to get away from. He can't even beat a real ace. Forget about diamonds. You can't beat ace 7. And George takes down a little pot there.
You're so lucky I had the kings.
Button moves over to seat number 8.
Find out where I'm at.
Put him in the space between the chair and this shit and makes some noise there. Asshole. Just
How do you know that?
itching too.
It's the hemorrhoid rubbing my butt.
Yeah, it is. Whatever the fuck it is, stop it.
110.
Barry's going to make it $110 to go with King Jack of clubs. Now Barry's in a spot where now he's going to buy himself the button here. Now normally if the player to my left is a somewhat passive type player, I can raise a lot in the cutoff seat because I'm buying myself the button. In this case, normally you're not going to be able to do that because Ed might call you. Now George is going to call him with a couple of ducks. And, terrible flop for pretty much both hands. Is Barry going to fire at it, though? No, they don't. And there's the set of deuces. Unfortunately for George, Barry's got absolutely nothing. George didn't even want to continue at that one. Amazing, Barry did not fire at the flop. If Barry fires that flop, he probably takes it down. He hated the flop so much, though, he just figured, whatever, I'm going to give it up.
Oh, Diablo's here.
Don't get angry.
You know, the other day, out of the blue, that Jesus guy that used to play with us, he comes to me and he says, "Kid, you have 2,000?" I'm like, "Which one?" How do I know? I mean, the guy was,
Got an email here from David Stanfield. I'm not sure what he's talking about. He says they are shutting down AC. Crazy times. And he sent a link here. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to check out the link. Normally, when Bart is here and the two of us are doing it, one of us can do the show and the other person can check out these links. But I can't do it on my own.
he's doing good at least there.
Wow. So New Jersey is in crisis. Okay. I guess I live in a cave. I didn't even know that.
Did everybody?
Now, C8, Ed actually made a little raise here with pocket fives. Allen calls, and the rest of the table calls, and look at this flop for Allen. He has an overpair and an open-ended straight flush draw. Now, Maurice has got top pair, but he's got no club in his hand. I don't think he wants to get involved. Now, Amir has the 7 of clubs, and he's open-ended as well. Now, luckily for Amir, there's really no card that's going to come out that's going to kill him. Because if the Jack comes, he's good. If the 6 comes, he's good. Obviously, if a 7 comes, he's got it set, but he really can't take much heat. Obviously, the card that Amir really looking for is the 6 of clubs, which would give Allen the flush as well. And I believe we're going to see this heads up between Amir and Allen. And the pot is quickly going to be about $700. The turn is a 5, and wow, Ed would have made a set of 5s. And Amir has moved all in, and Allen is going to call. The bet was $500. The pot is now about $2,000. Ace of spades on the river changes nothing, and Allen's going to win this with pocket jacks. And Amir and Allen wins himself about a $2,000 pot. Nicely played. Get an email here from Steve. Says, so I'm watching the game right now, and I'm amazed at how bad these players are. Not all of them, of course, but I don't even see bad players like this at the 2-5 no limit game. Just thought I'd share my thought. P.S. I listened to you guys on the circuit earlier today, and I think what you do is really good for the game. Keep it up. Thanks a lot for the email, Steve. Yeah, we do this every Monday through Friday from 7 to 10 p.m. Normally it's me and Bart. Bart Hansen usually doing the play-by-play, me doing the color. Bart is in Vegas night right now, trying his luck at the World Series. And we got a raise here from Barry. He's got a couple of kings. He's got cowboys. Wow, big hand here. We've got queens for Jeff in seat number 3. And is he just smooth called? He has Bobby in there at 10s, but Bobby is going to raise it up. Oh, man. Uh-oh. Let's see what happens here. Now, George, it's smooth call with a couple of ducks in the button. And how is Barry going to play this now? Now, Bobby has made it how much more?
Re-raise.
280 more. And Barry is going to re-raise here. He's going to try to close out the competition. And what is Jeff going to do with his 2 queens here? Queens don't look real good when you get a raise, a re-raise, and then a third bet here. You got to realize your queens are probably in a lot of trouble. One of those cases where queens are pretty easy laydown, and I think he's going to throw them away, and it's a nice laydown by Jeff. And if you're Bobby, I mean, I think you got to lay it down as well.
What do you have? Wait. Hold on. What do you have? I have a pair.
And Bobby is not very deep.
What do you have? A pair too. Okay, best hand next to
And I think they're all in here.
How big is your pair?
They are all in. Wow. And they're trying to discuss if they're going to run the river, run the board more than once. You got 10s versus kings.
I laid down deuces.
Wow.
Wow, that's big lay down,
Well,
man.
we just run the turn in the river 3 times.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they're all going to run the flop once. Oh, and there's a set of queens for Jeff. He would have hit a set of queens. He might get sick right now. And they look like they're going to run the turn in the river, I want to say 3 times or 2 times. Well, the first time is all Barry. 7. 5 changes nothing. And we're going to run it one more time.
No, it's turn in the river 3 times.
He said that's what he said.
Oh, that was after the flop, though. No, it was before the flop.
Yeah, he said it before the flop.
Very nice.
8 of clubs. 3 of clubs changes nothing. And Barry's going to take it all. And this is about a $2,400 pot, I want to say. Bobby didn't have much money, fortunately for him. Overcommitting there with pocket 10s. Now, Jeff would have hit his set of queens, but it's clearly a good laydown. You got to realize that when you get a raise, a call,
So lucky, Barry. So lucky.
a re-raise, and then a guy 3 bets it, you got to realize that your queens are really vulnerable.
He doesn't re-raise, all right? He doesn't re-raise. He takes it.
I'm trying to take it down.
Barry wins himself about $1,200 or $1,300 there new.
Good lay down, Jeff.
Button moves over to seat number 2.
I didn't really want to
Call.
wasn't just him and
1,300 behind C5.
Jeff with ace queen offsuit, out of position in a small blind.
I was actually thinking about just calling and
Now
waiting.
normally, like I said, I'm not a big fan of raising that hand, but you know what? If you just get a couple of limpers in there, especially in late position, I might raise it up. Especially Ed is not in the hand,
Raise 80.
and he's going to make it 80 to go. And Maurice is going to call with the ace 9. That'll probably bring Bobby in there, and that's going to bring Amir in as well. And we got about a $320 pot 4 ways. Trying to figure out how much Bobby is
4
behind.
players.
1,300 apparently. Wow, big flop there. King, Jack, 4, and Maurice
300.
has flopped the flush draw, and Amir has the same flush draw. The best hand is actually Bobby there with Queen, Jack. He's got second pair, and Maurice is going to bet $300 into about a $340 pot. So the pot is now $640, $340 to call. Bobby folds, and Amir calls, and if the heart comes, Amir is in a lot of trouble. 3 of clubs in the turn. Is Maurice going to keep firing in this one?
I will, Kenny. Reverse now.
Pot is about $1,000. And he bets $500 there. Amir's put in a tough spot, and Amir's going to call this. Wow. Pot is $2,000 to the river, and the river is the 8 of diamonds, and Amir is backed into the best hand. And Amir's got to be betting here thinking he needs to bet. He's certainly not betting for value. You're not going to get called by a 4. You're not going to get called by ace high. Wow, and you wonder, Maurice obviously shut down in the river there. You wonder if Maurice bets $1,000 in the river, can Amir call with a pair of 8s here? What a bad beat there. Amir had 6 outs to the win. Needed a 7 or an 8, and that was it. And if a heart comes, talk about reverse implied odds. Maurice thinking this through, you know, you're trying to put him on a hand that you can beat. You think if he had a heart draw, well, maybe he didn't get there. Why is he betting the river? Normally when somebody bets the river, they're either betting a monster or they're bluffing. In this case, Amir probably thinks he's bluffing. Normally if somebody just had, say, king-queen here or king-10, would they bet the river? Probably not. a really good player bets for value, but you wonder here. But Maurice is not going to fire. Throws it away. And Amir takes down what is about a $2,000 pot. If you ever hear anything that I say, or normally when Bart is here, one of us say that you don't know what we're talking about, go over on the left-hand side of the screen. There's a poker terminology. Click on that, and we kind of define a lot of the stuff we talk about. Reverse implied odds, running the river more than once, things like that. Jeff's got the button in seat number 3. George is going to make it $120 to go with ace deuce of diamonds. First to enter the pot, and I don't think anybody's going to call him. No, George is going to take it down. I've got some really, really exciting news for our subscribers. Our most loyal viewers. I mean, this is going to knock your socks off. Just a little tease. Button moves over to seat number 4.
Where is it?
Now, Maurice has made it 70 more to go with ace-queen of diamonds on the button. Clearly a raising hand. One against why you're raising that. You're raising it in position. That hand becomes so much more valuable in position. Barry's going to call with what really is garbage. He's calling a raise out of position with a hand that is so really easily dominated. I mean, I would rather call with Amir's hand than Barry's hand. Allen's in there with 8s, and we're going to see this 5 ways. Flop is Jack, 7, 5. And I want to say the best hand is still Allen with pocket 8s. But Allen's not going to bet it. And it checks around. Turn is a 9, and now Bobby is back into the best hand here. But Bobby's not in the hand. And Allen's going to bet here. He's got a gut shot to the straight draw as well. Amir's going to call with 3rd pair. Maurice is going to call with ace-queen here. I mean, nobody's got much of anything. Allen with the best hand here. The pot is quickly $700. The river is a 3 of diamonds. Changes nothing at all, and Allen's going to win this. And he's going to put out what is somewhat of a blockish bet here. He bets $300, and Maurice slams down his ace-queen in frustration. Allen takes down a nice pot there. Now, you wonder what Allen is betting there on the river. Is he betting there thinking maybe he can get a 9 off, or you think he's betting there as a block there? Obviously very interesting. Email here from Randy from Pittsburgh. He says, hey, your article about the 10-20 no-limit session in Vegas got me wondering. Do you think it's harder to play against pros or internet whiz kids? Are the internet whiz kids more aggressive, easier to read? Your thoughts? You know, once again, obviously, I really can't make a general statement and go, well, all pros are better than internet whiz kids, or all internet whiz kids are better than pros. It really depends on the player. There are some internet whiz kids that are phenomenal poker players, and there are some professionals that are absolutely phenomenal. The one internet kid that I was playing against, I didn't think he was that good. The one I was wrote about in Under the Gun.
4 players.
4 ways here. There's a live straddle, so we're going to see it. $40, $160 pot, ace, queen, 9, couple of spades. Ed has got bottom 2 pair. Actually, I'm sorry, it's ace, queen, 10. Now, Ed still has the best hand here, plus he has the queen of spades. Oh, I apologize. Actually, Barry's got an ace. A weak ace, but he does have an ace. Amir's going to call with a gut shot, actually an open-ended straight draw. Jack 9 there. He does not have a spade in his hands. And Barry's made 2 pair. And he's going to bet $400. You got to be pretty aggressive on that kind of board. You look at that board, a lot of draws out there. If a king were to fall, a jack were to fall, a spade falls, you have no idea where you're at. Ed is going to throw away his queen. And is Amir going to call here? He's open-ended. Wow, and Allen's actually got the same straight draw. Jack 9 there. You got to realize that the value of this straight draw is somewhat limited. If a king comes, anybody with a jack would have a straight. So you're not going to get paid off that much. Now, obviously, if an 8 were to come, it's a little more well hidden. Unless you're Amir and you put Barry on an ace and you think, well, okay, if an 8 comes, I win. A king comes, I win. And if a spade comes, maybe I can represent and get him off the hand. And the river actually was the 6 of spades. And you kind of wonder there, could you get Barry off of 2 pair? You got to think, what is this guy calling me with? Is he calling me with spades? Can you use that card to win the pot? Anything I will say one thing about playing against the internet whiz kids, you know, there used to be a time where you could sit down in a cash game and you could kind of make a quick judgment on your players. You could look at the way they held their chips, look at the way they kind of conducted themselves, and you could kind of make a rough assumption on how much experience they have playing poker. You don't necessarily know if they're good or not, but at least you know if they've played a lot. Nowadays, though, you can't really tell that because of the internet boom. A lot of these kids and a lot of adults, obviously, have gotten a lot of experience playing poker on the internet. They're playing in their pajamas or their boxer shorts at home. You know, they're not using chips, but they have a lot of poker experience. You've got to realize that. Queen 7-4 flop, and everybody misses. 3 ways around. Barry still the lead with 3s. And Maurice has picked up the nut flush draw. He's got the ace of clubs in his hand. Is he going to bet it? No, he doesn't bet it. And 10-10, and Barry's going to win this with 2 pair, 10s and 3s. But Ed is going to fire at it. And I got to tell you, do you buy that? I think Barry might call this. I really do. I mean, what would Ed bet here? And Ed's going to show him the bluff. He loves that. So anyways, as I was saying, how it can be somewhat dangerous now to judge a book by its cover, so to speak. Because a lot of these players are very good, have a lot of experience. And somebody that might not necessarily look like a shark can be extremely dangerous to the poker table.
What's his name?
Good luck, guys.
Barry's got the button. Amir's going to limp in here with 10-7 offsuit. I mean, just limping in with any 2 cards, really, in any position. Look at that. Now, that is just 2 sexy, sexy women, I tell you. Look at that, Angie. Sex pot she is.
You say it was a guy.
The fantasies I've had about that woman. Barry raises it up with a couple of black queens and takes it down.
They're not all like you, you know?
Yeah, they pretty much are.
People like the opposite sex.
Eric Mathis sends an email here. What happened to Bart? I hear you talking about Bart. I'm assuming something happened at the World Series. I'm lost. What exactly happened to him? Anybody that didn't hear, I'll say it really quick. Bart tried to buy into the $5,000 Omaha event that is going on tomorrow. Unfortunately, there was a miscommunication, and the cashier gave him a $5,000 ticket to yesterday's No Limit Hold'em event. Unfortunately for Bart, he did not realize it until last night at 10:30, after the tournament was already down to 80 people. So Bart, unfortunately, went to Harrah's, went to Rio, tried to see what he could do. The tournament director and everybody else really tried to work with Bart, but in the end, there was really nothing they could do. And Bart ended up losing his $5,000. When Bart comes back on Monday, I'll let him get into all the details about it. But obviously, really, really sucks. Talk about a bad beat. On a lighter note, I will say Bart's chips. Bart actually survived longer in the No Limit Hold'em event. Having not played one hand, he survived longer than I did in either one of the tournaments I played. How sad is that? That's pretty pathetic. Bart moves over to seat number 9. Yeah, literally, Bart's chips were just blinded off. Apparently, they were actually calling for him over the loudspeaker, but Bart wasn't there. He was playing at a different casino.
George,
And either nobody else heard it that knew him to call him, and by the time Bart figured out, he went back to his friend's house, checked his ticket out, and saw No Limit Hold'em July 4th, and he literally had a conniption. Got to give Bart credit, though. He really handled it like a pro.
Some god-awful cards over here.
It is god-awful.
King 9-8, Rainbow. Nobody with a king. A couple of players have 8s. And Ed is going to bet in position with an 8. 8-10. I don't know if anybody can call this. Well, George has got ace-8. Backdoor clubs. And he's not going to get involved, though. And Ed takes it down. I got to tell you, I'm not going to be calling Ed thinking he's making moves. When you're playing against a player like Ed, the value of playing a player like that is really making big hands and then betting for value, because he'll pay you off the entire way like we saw Maurice do earlier.
See, even he admits I'm living large.
Yeah. Wow. And to give Bart credit, you know, he's getting back on the horse. He is going to play in tomorrow's Omaha event. And I got to tell you, if there is a poker god out there, and I'm wishing it for him, there's a poker god out there. We're talking about karma. After what happened to him, you know, obviously yesterday, I really hope he wins this event, or at least gets to the final table. Makes back his $5,000 and then some.
60.
$60 bet here from Barry. He's going to bet with, well, he's got second pair. Amir is going to call with the flush draw. Jeff is going to call with a flush draw. Maurice is going to call with second pair. And we're saying this 4 ways now. The pot is now $600. And there's the diamond. Wow, Amir has the nut flush. And Jeff is in really bad shape here. Jeff has got a smaller flush. Now, Jeff has made it $300. Amir checked it. Jeff makes it $300. That's going to get Maurice out. That's going to get Barry out. And what is Amir going to do with the nuts? Now, there's no straight flush out there because Amir's got the king. And look at this. Amir makes it 600 more. Jeff moves all in, and he is drawing dead. You know, and this is the problem, obviously. The 9 of clubs and the river changes nothing, and Amir is going to double through. How much money did Jeff have? He had $1,400 more after that $300 bet. We're talking about a $4,000 pot when it's all said and done, and unfortunately for Jeff, that's going to be it. I think he's going to get up and leave. And we talk about a problem, you know, Jeff took a step up in this game. And we talk about sometimes having problems in a game like this. Now, in this case, he was in the blind of that hand. But you've got to realize how vulnerable you can be with a smaller flush. Oftentimes, you don't even want to be drawing to a small flush. You've got to realize that if there is a bet, and there's a diamond draw out there, and you have a small diamond draw, and there's 3 or 4 players call it, there's a good chance somebody else has a bigger flush draw than you have. If the diamond comes, you might be talking about a lot of reverse implied odds. And that, in essence, is the definition of reverse implied odds. The diamond comes, and you lose your entire stack. Hopefully Jeff learns his lesson there. I mean, that's a tough spot there. You know, obviously, you've got the 9 high flush. 8, 7, 3, a couple of spades out there. You've got to realize that flushes are so apparent. People see them. They're not hidden. And if you're taking a lot of heat when you have a small flush, there's a good chance your opponent might have a bigger flush. Wow, look at this now. It checks around, and Maurice now has trip 7s, but Bobby's got bigger trip 7s because he's got the king kicker. And the king will play unless the board pairs.
250.
And there was a small bet here for Maurice. He bet 80, and Bobby makes it 280, I think. 250, and Maurice is going to just call. The pot is quickly $600 to the river, and the river is nothing going to change there. It's a 10 of diamonds. Bobby's kicker will play here. And how big is the bet by Bobby? And Bobby bets $240. Man, did he leave a lot of money on the table there. Was that all in? No, he had another $600. How do you only bet that much? God. I mean, the pot is already $600. you got to look at it. When your opponent bets, you raise, and then he calls you. You got to put him on a 7. I just don't understand the play there. You put him on a 7, you overbet it. I got to tell you, I'm betting $1,000. I'm putting my money in there. I'm going to put him to the test. Make him throw away trip 7s. You know, some people can say, well, he could have ace 7. He could have a full house. You know what? All the power to him. I got king 7 there. If he is just checking and calling me and then he's checking the river, I'm going to really think I had the best hand and I'm going to try to get paid. I want to put some heat on this guy. You know, there are some times where you want to value bet small, but there are sometimes where you really got to put your opponent on a hand, and in that case, you got to think, what are the chances my opponent has a 7 here? Because remember, if your opponent does not have a 7, you're not going to get paid off anyway. If he missed some sort of spade draw, or if he missed a straight draw, you're not going to get paid off anyway. But if he has a 7, you might get $600 or $700 out of him. I really think Bobby left some money on the table there. 5 ways limped around. 9-8-4. Now with Jeff leaving, Mo is back in the game. He's going to take his seat back. He's going to take seat 8, and Ed is going to take seat 3. Checked around, 7 of diamonds on the turn. And Kenny's actually got 2 pair now. We don't have it up there. He's got 7-4. And Maurice has made a straight, though, on the button. And he just calls. I can't believe that. Oh, my God. Unbelievable. And now how's Kenny going to play this? The pot is $400. Kenny makes it $200. Alan is probably going to throw this away. He does. And did Maurice just call? Wow. I got to tell you, I mean, I understand what Maurice is thinking there. Could my opponent have Jack 10 and is Kenny win? Yeah, he could. And I guess Maurice is scared of that Jack 10. But I got to tell you, I want to get some information out of that. Man, I mean, if you're only going to be playing the nuts or waiting for the nuts, I mean, some people can make the argument, well, would Kenny even pay him off with 2 pair? Who knows? You know, you might get paid off a little bit more. Obviously, it was limped around the flop. Very easy for Kenny to have Jack 10 there. I guess Kenny also could have had, 10-6. Putting a lot of heat on our Ronnie here. A lot of limped around pots. Once again, multi-way, 7 ways. Queen 9-6 rainbow. And I'm trying to look to see if we got anything. Where's Mike when you need him, I tell you? Too many multi-way pots tonight. Checks around. Turn is a queen. That doesn't change anything. And I want to say that Kenny still has the best hand here with 10-6. But Maurice is going to bet it. I don't think Kenny can call. He's got too many players behind him. Yeah, he's going to throw it away. And that'll probably be enough to take it down. Unless George is going to make a move here. He has picked up a heart draw. Ace 10 of hearts. And George calls. And we're heads up here. The pot is about $350 to the river. River's a 3 of diamonds. And Maurice is going to have to bluff at this again, but he doesn't go for it. He's got the jack high, and George is going to win it with ace high. Once again, we're live at the bike. I'm David Tuckman. We're playing No Limit Hold'em. Blinds are 10 and 20. This is an unrestricted buying game. We probably got about 30,000 on the table. If you're wondering where Bart is, he is in Vegas, trying his luck at the World Series of Poker, giving it his best. A couple of cowboys. Ooh, now big hands here. We got ace-king suited for Ed, and he's going to make it. He makes it 80, and Mo is going to smooth call with his pocket kings. Maurice there in seat number 4. Bobby's going to call, and that's going to bring in George. And we're going to see it 4 ways to the flop. Flop is ace, 8-7 deuce. George has got a pair of 7s, but Maurice is still well in control here. Ed's got nothing. And Ed makes somewhat of a little girly bet here. He bets $130 into a $400 pot. And Maurice is going to immediately raise him. Easy lay down for George. And it's an easy lay down for Ed, too, and that should be enough for Maurice to take it down.
530.
$400 more to Ed. And Ed's got what? He calls. Are you kidding me? Unbelievable. Pot is now $1,200. The turn is a 4. That changes nothing. 4 spades. And Maurice is going to bet $1,000. And Ed can only beat, he can beat a flush draw. That's it. He can beat like ace jack of clubs. You got to realize that ace king is just a drawing hand. And on that board, it's really crap. It's nothing. Unbelievable, though. Ed really thinking about it. The pot is now $2,300, $1,000 to call. Not as easy a laydown as you think it is. I actually had a guy the other night. I make the nuts in the river, right? And the guy bets into me. Actually, I didn't make the nuts, but I made, for this hand, I knew it was the nuts. And the guy bets into me. Pots about $1,000, and he bets $300 into me. So I raise it up to like $1,200. And Ed calls! Oh, my God. And Ed needs an ace and only an ace. And it's not going to come. 3 of spades in the river. Yeah, and at this point, you know what? I don't mind the check there by Maurice. I really don't. Unless you put... you got to start thinking of what did Ed call me with? Is there any way Ed could have 2 pair? But you probably would have heard from Ed. Some people can make the argument to go, well, if Ed's got a flush draw, he's not going to pay you off anyway. But is there any way Ed's got, say, ace-8? Or even pocket 9s, pocket 10s, pocket jacks, or pocket queens? Can you get paid off on the river? Who knows? Anyway, it brings me to my point. So anyway, so the guy bets $200 into a $1,000 pot, and it comes to me, and I make it $1,000 more. And it goes back to him, and he goes into the tank, and he thinks about it, and he thinks about it, and he thinks about it, and he goes, I think we're chopping. And I'm trying to give away nothing, because there's a one-liner to the straight, and I have it. But I know I have the nuts. I know at best he's chopping me, but I don't even think he has that. Anyway, he turns over ace-high. And when I'm talking about ace-high, literally, I had a straight, he had ace-high. And he turns it over as if it was the nuts. As if I was supposed to, quiver and go under the table. It was kind of similar to this. Maurice with pocket aces this time, and he bets and nobody takes it down. Nobody calls him. Take it down, Maurice. Might we get a setup at any point tonight? Three ways, length around. Flop is king, 10, deuce, rainbow. Nobody's got anything. Maurice the best hand, 5s. Turn is a 9, changes nothing. Amir is now open-ended with jack 8, and he's going to bet. And, wow, Maurice is going to call with pocket 5s. I got to tell you, not much you can beat there with pocket 5s. River's a 7, and Amir makes a straight. Time to value bet if you're Amir. And Maurice throws it away, and Amir takes it down. Okay, so this is the exciting news. I'm really excited about this because this is going to... We have our loyal fans who are our subscribers. Now, everybody's a loyal fan, and I know you guys are all great. We love you all. But obviously our subscribers, the people that we're most loyal to, we finally want to give a little bit payback back to you. Okay, so beginning July 12th, next Wednesday, we are switching to subscription only. Because everyone is right. This shit is too good to give away for free. What does this mean? Okay. Only subscribers will be able to watch the show in its entirety. All others will only get a preview of the show, But in addition to our nightly games, what we're going to be able to do by basically charging for the show now, we are going to be ramping up the content by adding special promotions such as guest commentator promotions. Anybody unfamiliar with that, we've got that guest commentator promotion. All subscribers as of July 11th are automatically registered for the drawing. Included with the guest commentator experience is 6 months of free subscription, $500 in cash to play in that night's game, and obviously you get to commentate with Bart that night. Only available to subscribers. We'll also have special guest appearances. We have confirmed that Liz Lou will be in the booth to kick off our new era, our new chapter. On July 12th, Liz Lou will be in the booth with probably Bart Hansen, unless Bart, of course, slits his wrist, and then I'll swallow the bullet and I'll be in there with Liz Lou. But there's also more. By charging for the show, we are going to be able to do some special free rolls. We've already got 2 $1,500 free rolls set up. They are for our subscribers, and for absolutely no money, you can win money for free. Okay? Absolutely fabulous stuff going on here. So once again, beginning July 12th, we are switching to subscription only. More on this later. Barry with 2 pair, he's going to bet it. And is Allen going to pay him off? He's missed his straight draw, but he's made a pair of 9s, and he's going to pay him off, and Barry's going to win this with 2 pair. So once again, we have special promotions, free rolls, guest commentators, on top of our normal nightly action. Okay? You get access to all the archives, 1,500 hours of poker content, all of this for the ridiculously low price of $14.95 per month. Okay, so if you were wondering, should I subscribe? Why would I subscribe? We're giving you every reason to subscribe. Okay. Now, if you are already one of our loyal subscribers and you're already watching the show on a nightly basis and you're already checking out some of our best shows, Barry Greenstein, Greg Raymer, Kathy Liebert, you have to do nothing. Change nothing. Just continue watching the show. That's all you have to do. And now, for the same amount of money that you were paying before, we're going to give you more. Ace, queen, queen on the flop. Nobody's got an ace. Nobody's got a queen. But Amir's going to bet with 10 high, and he's going to take it down. Basically, to paraphrase this, I got this long, verbose copy in front of me that I'm supposed to read. But to basically paraphrase the entire thing, the freeloaders, okay, we're getting rid of them, okay? The people that are really the poker fanatics, the ones that are watching this show, we want to give something back to you, okay? Since you're already paying the $14.95 a month, just continue doing that, and we're going to give you back to you. So this is actually great. Liz Lou will be making her first appearance on Live at the Bike, guest commentating with Bart Hansen, unless, of course, I kill him. If you don't know who Liz Lou is, come out of your cave. Liz is one of the most successful and aggressive players in Los Angeles and Vegas. She plays those huge cash games. I mean, 400, 800 cash games. I know she just played, what did she just play in that heads-up match? Some internet guy. Eric123, thank you. She's also done some commentary for ESPN. And she's also smoking hot. No, I'm unlike Bart. I'm not one of those wow, Asian girls, they're all hot. But Liz Lou, she smokes. She is absolutely smoking. Apparently, according to Bart, though, I think Bart thinks that Matt would be better in bed. So it is. Bobby takes it down with the pair of queens. Once again, if you want to email us, you can email us at live@thebike.com. You can also follow a live thread over at 2plus2.com. Go to Televised Poker, go to Live the Bike for July 5th. And we got another post here from Whalecock. It says, luckily Bart doesn't have a woman to explain the $5,000 loss to. Hopefully he makes it back, yeah. Like I said, if there's any god out there, he will definitely make it back. Did George actually limp in with pocket queens? Are you kidding me? At this table? Why? I just don't understand what... I mean... And George is going to bet $60 into about a $120 pot. You know, unfortunately for him, nobody's got a king. And I don't think anybody's going to call this, but I just don't understand. You know, it's funny. I like George's game to a point. You know, and he might get on me for giving him some crap, but... And Allen's going to raise this up with a pair of threes. Makes it 100 more. And the thing with Allen is, he'll usually slow play his pair of kings here, and George is going to just call, and Allen's in terrible shape. He needs a 3 and only a 3, and there it is. Wow. Unbelievable. But Allen's really got nothing more than a bluff catcher. Remember, he can't beat the king anyway, and he goes check, check, and if you're Allen, do you put a little bet in the river? And he does. He bets $200, and George can't beat anything now.
Let me see.
You know, the thing I was going to say, you've got to adjust to the game. I'm reading all these no-limit books and obviously watching so much no-limit myself. You know, I'm always kind of playing with my game. And the one thing I see as a kind of a constant in good players. Good players adapt to the game they are playing. Kind of like a chameleon might change its colors. They adapt. Now, if you're playing with Corporation Mike and you're playing with, Jason Cacciatani, you've got to play a different way than if you're playing in this game. Now, this game is not an aggressive pre-flop game. You can see a lot of flops, but people are calling your raises. Why wouldn't you raise with pocket queens just for value? I just don't understand the play there. You're going to probably get called in 2 or 3 spots anyway.
I want to know if you have the key players or your own flush draw. That's all.
That's the only hand I could have.
You find out he doesn't have a king?
You find out you didn't have a king, but you took 3. And then
Yeah.
you didn't bet.
Post here from Jaff911 on 2+2. I got to read it in a second.
Fours
Absolutely hysterical.
and queens. Okay, perfect.
90, check and check. I put you on the flush draw. That's all.
I have pocket queens.
And Barry bets $90 with a pair of 6s. Omir's going to call with top pair.
Somehow, man, you always...
And Maurice going to call this. I think Maurice might raise this up. And I wouldn't mind the raise. Kind of get a little information. See where he's at. And he's going to make it 390. That's a big raise. Building yourself a big pot with only one pair. We talk about pot control being very important in no-limit hold'em. Sometimes by raising in position that you can actually control the pot size. And Amir is in really bad shape here. I think it's an easy laydown, and he throws it away. Anyway, post here, he says, make a good ESPN story. If you and Bart had some side bet on who can last longer in their respective events, Bart's actually beating you, huh? And he is. Like I said, Bart lasted longer. Actually, Bart lasted longer in the $5,000 no-limit event by not showing up than I lasted in both of my events, and Bart lasted in the $2,000 Omaha event. I guess the moral of the story is just don't show up. Couple of ladies for Bobby, and he makes it 120 to go. And Mo is going to call with what can be a dominated king-queen. If Mo flops 2 pair, or the case-queen comes out, Mo might get really involved. And we're going to see it heads up. Pot's about $250. And the flop completely misses Mo. 8-4-4. And pretty basic there. Mo checks. Bobby bets. Mo takes it down. See, I think the funniest thing would have been if Bart had actually, let's say Bart went back to his friend's house, looked at his ticket at like 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon, after the tournament was already going on for 5 or 6 hours, realized that he had bought into the wrong tournament, raced to the Rio, realized that he still had like 1,500 chips left, sat down, doubled up a couple times, and somehow came into money. Now that would be a great story. The funny thing is that about 6 o'clock, I think Bart still had 1,500 in chips. You wonder when he went broke. I'd assume right around 8 o'clock or 8:30. Which means he probably outlasted about 2/3 of the field anyway. We're going to see this 3 ways. And there's the ace. Now, is Amir going to learn his lesson? He got killed last time with ace-10. And once again, he has dominated with the ace. And Bobby's going to make it $100 more. And once again, it's just not a very good flop for ace-10. Now, you got to look at this board here, if you're Amir. It's ace-8-3 rainbow, okay? There's no draw whatsoever. There's nothing you can beat. You've got to realize that your opponent is probably raising you with an ace. He's not raising you on the come. There's no draw. And what can ace-10 beat? But Amir gets stubborn. And I believe Bobby made it $220. And Amir's going to throw it away. Okay, well. He learns from his mistake with ace-10 before, and he throws it away. Obviously, Bobby's got to be a little more cautious there. You got to realize when the jack comes out, Bobby picks up a diamond draw, but he can no longer beat ace-jack. He can only beat, really, ace-10 or ace-9. Barry's going to make it $110 to go with 8-6 of spades. And he gets called in one spot. And look at that, 2 pair. That's always beautiful. And Maurice calls him with ace-king. And you wish, if Barry was really lucky, it would have come out king 8-6. But still obviously a very lucky flop for Barry. Maurice in terrible shape. He needs some sort of running cards to win this. And you know what? If you're going to play ace-king sneaky like this, I don't mind just throwing the hand away. And he does. I don't need to show it either, though. And it comes out deuce 6 of clubs, and Barry actually would have filled up on the river. Now, the whole point of playing ace-king slow there is if the ace flopped and Barry had raised with ace-jack, well, maybe you get a lot of Barry's money.
You raise with it, I catch you. Damn, you knew it was coming?
I already spent $1,000. Freaking draw, I ain't doing it again. I missed some money.
And Mo is going to make it 140 to go with 10-7 offsuit. Barry's going to call him with ace-queen of clubs, pretty sure. Now, this is a hand, this is a game that Mo can probably run over a little bit. You see how wow, nice flop there for Barry. He's got overcards plus the flush draw, but Mo is out flopping him. He's got a pair of 10s. And you can see this is pretty much a coin flip. And I'm surprised Barry doesn't bet that. And he's going to check and call. Now, might you bet the turn no matter what comes out? 3 on the turn, and Barry's going to check. And Mo bets 500. And the pot is about $1,300. 500 to call. And Barry has played this hand like a girl. I just don't understand how to play. I mean, obviously, you're in a tough spot. You're out of position with ace-queen of clubs. But I got to tell you, that's a hand you can really go to war with. I'm just so surprised how passively he played that. He checks and calls, and the river was the king of diamonds. Changes nothing. But you just wonder, I mean, if you bet into Mo, how strong can Mo really play 10-7 there?
Well, I was going to look at it, he folded. I thought it was a king. He come. No, it's like there, and he folded back. I thought it was a queen.
Mo, you want to play piggy?
Yes.
I've got 7 jack. You got ace loose again?
Yes.
Now, Wellcock here said, I was hoping there was a camera crew there when Bart was asking for his money back. I also hope he made a scene and started throwing a tantrum. And I got to give Bart credit, you know. Bart's actually a pretty level-headed guy. I'm a little more confrontational than Bart is. And to Bart's credit, he actually said, you know what? They were really nice about it. They talked to me. They talked to some really high-up people, you know, and they tried their best, and there really wasn't anything they could do. And, you know, he swallowed his medicine like a man.
He popped a woody, the table went up like this, the chips were right there.
You know, it's large.
5 player, yeah, that's right. Poked a hole in it.
Yeah, there you
flop is Jack 6-4. And Ed actually raised this out of position with Ace-7. And we talk about, obviously, raising out of position with a hand that bad really puts you in a tough spot. Now, George is actually, I don't know how he's in there, but he's in there with 2 pair. He's got Jack 6. He's got top 2. Maurice is going to call with Jack 7. $150 bet into about a $400 pot. And it actions over to Alan, and Alan is going to call with bottom pair. Unreal. And if you're George, I got to tell you, I'm making a huge overbet. Huge. I'm going to make a really big bet here.
400 more.
I'm hoping somebody's got an overpair. I don't think anybody does, but I'm just not going to let anybody stick around. And he makes it 400 more. I probably would have made it even 600 more. I really want this hand to be over with right now. Jack 6, a pretty vulnerable hand, top and bottom pair. A lot of things can happen. Obviously, if he knew what everybody had, he could probably play it a little slower. But how does he know what people have here? You've got to be wary, obviously, if a king comes off, a queen comes off, an ace comes off, even a 10 comes off. Obviously, your Jack 6 is very vulnerable. Are you kidding me? Ed calls with nothing. With nothing. And if you're Maurice, you got to throw away Jack 7 here. I mean, you could beat nothing, and I'm assuming Alan's going to throw it away as well. And we're heads up here. Ed needs running cards. See that George is such an overwhelming favorite, and this pot is quickly $1,200. Actually, I'm sorry, $1,500. And the turn is a queen of spades, and Ed is drawing dead. And I got to tell you, if you're George, I'm putting a lot of money in there. I really am.
1,000.
I want Ed to call me with, I don't even know, what would Ed have here? $1,000 bet out of George. I mean, the pot is now $2,500, $1,000 to call. Ed's got nothing. He's drawing stone cold dead. Are you kidding? And Ed called? Are you kidding me? Ed called. He's drawing dead. The river is a 9 of spades, and I got to tell you, if Ed checks to me here, I'm moving in. I'm going to put Ed on a pair, and Ed's going to bluff at it. But how much is he betting? And it's a quick call here. About a $1,000 bet from Ed on the river, and George immediately calls. And Ed had absolutely nothing. Unreal. He shows the ace as if he had pocket aces. But all he had was ace high. Unreal. And that pot was about $5,800. Now, sometimes, obviously, it can be difficult when you're playing against a player like Ed, who doesn't really have a regard for money. He's here to have a good time. It's really hard to put him on a hand, right? You can think of that. Okay, the guy bets, I raise, he calls me. Now he checks, I bet, he calls me. On the river, he bets into me. You start thinking of what hand he might have, right? I don't think anybody in their right mind would ever put him on ace-7. And Ed apparently is buying in for another $5,000. And this is one of Ed's, if there's a leak in Ed's game, it's he definitely has a propensity to go on tilt. You know, and Bart and I talk about game selection. We look for a good game. This is the kind of game you look to play in, huh? Jack 4 deuce, couple of diamonds. Now, Ed has got a flush draw. He's got 5-8 of diamonds. Nobody else has got the diamond draw. And I don't believe anybody has a jack. But George is going to bet it with... Oh, we don't get to see George's hand because his chips are in the way. Maybe he can put him into seat number 2 spot. Well, there they are. Well, George has got the jack. He's got jack 9. And Ed quickly calls, and the pot's about $300. Well, look at that. Barry's going to take one off. I just don't understand this play at all. I don't. I mean, ace-queen, he's got no diamond in his hand. What's he taking one off for? I mean, do you really want to catch your queen? I mean, do you even want to catch your ace? What are you looking to hit here? And George is going to continue betting. And Ed will probably call with his flush draw. And how much did George bet? George bet only 100. He's trying to keep his pot somewhat small. And he's priced Ed in here, I assume. And now Barry's going to get rid of it. The pot is about $500 to the river. Ed needs a diamond, and there it is, the deuce of diamonds. It pairs the board, though. George is going to check it. Ed bets $1,000. And there's not much George can beat. But remember, it's really difficult. Ed could have a hand as strange as a 7 offsuit here. Who knows what Ed has? Now, you got to look at that board, though. It's double paired. You can't beat a 4. You can't beat a deuce. You can't beat diamonds. The only thing you can beat that would be a logical holding would be 5-3, open-ended. You can beat ace high, but would Ed bet ace high? You know what, though? It's really difficult. It's very difficult to put somebody on a hand in this case. And I got to tell you, you know, you got to pick your spots against Ed. And is this really a spot you want to be fighting against? Obviously, it's real easy for me. I'm in the booth. I can see the cards. See what happens. Another email here from Steve early saying, hey, I'm considering driving over there right now. Are most 10-20 no-limit games of the bike this juicy? And if you're not sure about that, you should actually subscribe to the archives. Top left-hand corner, click on them, and you can see every single show we've ever had. And I'm telling you, we've had some unbelievable games. People just giving money away. Now, the games aren't always this juicy, but more often than not, then yes, they are. George is trying to figure it out. You know what? It's tough sometimes to figure out what a player like Ed has, though.
80 on the flop, 100.
100 on the third.
Sometimes the best thing to do on the river there is if you're George is probably bet about $300. And if you get raised, you can safely throw it away. Hand it to Ed to bet this, though. A lot of players would not bet the flush there because of the double-paired board. But you know what? Ed knows this guy has a jack. He knows he doesn't have a 4 or a deuce.
If you want to play that, we'll find out in a minute. The way I'm running is probably good.
Flush? That could have put you on a 4. Well, even about a 2. I think you have a flush too, though. Maybe.
Get an email here from Bob W. Get to it in a second. Had a question about pocket kings and how to play them. And unfortunately, you know, normally when you have a hand like that, it's one of those, you know, depends on who you're playing against, how deep you are, how deep your opponents are, how crazy the game is.
All right, take it down. I don't want to deal with it.
George takes an awful long time to throw that away. And Ed takes it down. Anyway, Robert Will says, hey, a question, your opinion. I'm in a no-limit game with 3-5 blinds. I'm in the big blind, 10 at the table, 9 limpers at $5 each, and it gets to me. What would you do? Well, should I raise enough to take the $45 then and there? Or should I raise enough to build a pot and narrow the field? Well, it really depends on how much, like I said, it depends on how much money you have, what you're looking to do, who is in the game against you, so forth and so on. Unfortunately, most of the questions that you end up, most of the answers to poker questions are, it depends. On a lot of different variables. And pretty much you want to raise enough where you force somebody to make a mistake. You force somebody to incorrectly call your bet. You probably don't want 6 people calling your bet, but maybe 1 or 2. 4 ways, limped around. Ace, King, 9, double hearts. Bobby with the flush draw. And Bobby actually got a big flop there. He's got bottom pair and the flush draw. And he checks it. I got to tell you, I'm betting if I'm Bobby there. I like betting my draws, and in this case, that's a big hand Bobby's got. Now, George's bet with absolutely nothing. He had a bottom pair with a pair 9-6 there. Bobby check raises him and takes it down. Obviously, another way to play it.
thing is not good for the table.
That is good for
It is good for the table.
players. Second players not.
Mine is good for the
I like it. I like my
I think we don't like it. Okay, why not?
King, king, 10, rainbow. Nobody with a king here. Ed's got pocket jacks. Ed did not raise with the jacks. And if it checks around him, you imagine, no, he's not going to put any money in there. Kenny with a pair of 10s. He thinks he's good here, so he's going to put a little money out there. He puts about a $100 bet out there into about a $100 pot. And if you're Ed here, I think it's just a call.
Tell whoever it's Ed.
And he is going to call this. Pot's about $300.
They did, and then they said the next day they
Ed, you want to order sushi?
That's what I want to do.
River's a 9 of hearts, changes nothing. If the backdoor flush, if Kenny's going to bet 100 and you're assuming Ed is going to pay him off, well, actually he's going to call and take down the pot with his jacks. Sometimes players are betting, they'll bet on the come on the turn there, they'll bet their flush draw. The 9 of hearts obviously gets there. The 9 of hearts is probably one of the worst hands you can see there because it completes queen jack, completes the straight. It also completes the hearts. Once again, we're live at the bike. I'm David Tuckman. Bart Hansen is in Vegas at the World Series of Poker. We're playing No Limit Hold'em blinds for $10 and $20. Got about 40,000, maybe 38,000 on the table.
I see. Oh, it should be a real big one here.
Yeah, he doesn't have it.
No, I didn't see that, but you say one to one. Did you see
Now Barry's going to raise it again out of the blinds with a hand that's just, it's tough to play out of position. Alan's going to call with ace queen. Ed's probably going to call this with 8-10 of clubs, and Bobby's going to call. And Barry, he got himself in trouble with ace queen earlier in the night. And what's he going to do here? And here he hits his ace, but he's in trouble because Alan's got him out kicked.
I can use it, huh? It's on VIP.
Yeah.
Or you park it somewhere here.
Talk about the problems with the raising out of the blinds with bad hands. I mean, do you really want to put more money in the pot out of position? And Barry bets and Alan calls, $330 bet. Pot is quickly about $900. Deuce on the turn changes nothing, and Alan's kicker is still going to play here. Barry checks to him, and Alan's going to bet $500.
Ace deuce, but it's a little late.
Are you kidding me? Barry's going to raise it.
Where's 600?
I got to tell you, I mean, I was just praising Barry's game. I really like Barry's game, but this is I just don't understand what he's doing. I mean, Alan is not the type of player you want to be bluffing. And you got to realize when you raise here, okay, yeah, you probably get Alan off the heart draw, but you might not. He might even call your heart with a heart draw. But I don't think you're going to get Alan off of a better ace, unless you think Alan's in there with ace-7 or ace-6. And you know what? Alan is going to call the $600 raise, and this pot is quickly $2,800 to the river. The river is the 5 of hearts, changes nothing. And Alan is going to win this hand with ace-queen. And if you're Alan, he's going to check it down, I'm sure. Yeah, he does. Barry's pissed off there. He knows his kicker doesn't play. And obviously, once the 5 of hearts comes, there's nothing you can beat. Absolutely nothing. If Alan was on the hearts, he got there. And if Alan obviously had a bigger ace than you. Now, would you ever bet ace-queen there for value? I think when the heart comes, I don't think you can. I think there's a good chance Barry had 2 pair and was scared when the heart came. And I take the free showdown as well if you're Alan. I think it's one of those spots where if you bet $1,000 thinking your ace-queen is good, you're probably only going to get called by a hand that can beat you. So far, a nice night for Alan there. So, okay, we got this email here from Apollo Lighting. Gonna get to it in 1 second. Raise from Ed. He's got Queen Jack. He made it $50. Maurice is going to call with suited connector. They're 8-9. Bobby's going to call with a 6 deuce of hearts. And look at that, trip jacks for Ed, and Maurice has got a pair of 9s. Now, out of all the suited connector, 8-9 is one of my least favorite. You got to realize if you hit your straight, your bottom end of the straight, 10 jack queen. If it's in a raised pot, somebody could very easily have ace king. Now, obviously, suited connectors are pretty good hands, but you got to realize I actually prefer, say, 4-5, 5-6, hands like that. And Alan's actually in there also with queen 10. He's open-ended.
Thanks, sir.
And he's going to call. And if you're Ed, I think you're going to raise this, and he is. He makes it $400 to go. And, you know, Ed is normally calling. If he shows aggression, he usually has it. You don't see him bluffing too often until the river. Nice laydown from Maurice. And if you're Alan, do you really want to go for a straight draw with a paired board?
Maybe. Okay, then call me.
No, he's not going to call. And Ed takes it down. And obviously that's the problem when you see a player like Ed. You realize, you go, well, Ed wins a couple of pots, he loses a couple of pots. But on the pots that he's winning, he's not winning that much. On the pots he's losing in a lot. Obviously it doesn't take a genius to realize very quickly that is not going to be winning poker. Okay, anyway, Apollo Lighting. I was watching the Best of the Bike, where Barry Woods was in a hand with Michael Mizrachi, the grinder. Barry had ace-queen and the grinder had pocket jacks. The board was king 10, queen, queen. Anyway, at the river, Barry had to bet first, and he pushes up $4,000. It was then the grinder, and the grinder was telling Barry he had kings full, etc. But then the show cut off. Who won? I do apologize that the show cut off. I'm not sure why. But the grinder actually threw his hand away, realized that his pocket jacks probably weren't good, and he threw it away. Button is in seat 8. That's Mo.
Who did that?
I'm playing my rush.
Alan's going to make it 200 to go out of the blinds. Now, I haven't even looked up. Oh, there, it's already up there. I was going to say, I mean, Alan raising out of the blind, what do you think he has? Alan might raise once a night pre-flop. And he's almost always got aces, kings, or queens. It's one of the reasons why sometimes I actually will call Alan in that spot with almost any two cards if he's deep enough and I'm deep enough, because I know Alan will have trouble getting away from an overpair. If somehow I'm in there with 5-7, that flop comes out, say, 7-5 deuce, I know Alan's got aces, kings, or queens. I know I'm going to win a lot of money. I can also get away from it pretty easily. Now, obviously, you've got to realize that the implied odds have to be there for you. Deuce 3-4 there. Amir is open-ended with the 5-10. He's going to bet his draw. Nobody's got much of anything that should take it down. Ed obviously taking a break from the game for a second. Now, once again, I want to let you guys know, beginning July 12th, we are switching to subscription only. What does this mean? It means only subscribers will be able to watch the show in its entirety. All others will only get a preview of the show. Okay? By doing this, if you are already a subscriber to the archives, you do nothing, okay? What we're going to do with the extra money, obviously, we are going to be able to bring in some special guest appearances, such as Liz Liu. We're going to be able to do free rolls. We already have two $1,500 free rolls for our subscribers. Now, you're probably wondering, wait a second, I don't live in L.A. How are these free rolls going to help me? These free rolls are online, okay? So don't fret. If you are in England, you are in Denmark, you are in New York, you are in Canada, you're on the moon. As long as you have internet access, you are eligible for these free rolls. And apparently we'll be making NetTeller an option to pay as soon as possible. Once again, I'm going to point out, I mean, to me, I think the archives alone, even before this happened, I always thought the archives were a great value. Like, I look at this book here, No Limit Hold'em by David Sklansky and Ed Miller. It sells for $30, okay? It's got a really great 300 pages of information in it, okay? You pay your $30 and you get this information. Now, for $14.95, we're giving you 1,500 hours of cash, no limit experience. If there was ever something that kind of confused you, watch it. I guarantee you we have a hand that was similar to the one you played. George is going to bet this. He's got 2 pair. Ed's going to call with nothing. The river brings out the 8 of spades, and George is good here with 10s and 3s. He's going to put out a little block. Actually, wow, he's betting in position, almost like a little value bet, seeing if he can get paid off with ace high. Is Ed going to pay him off? Ed pays him off with king high. What a value bet. Unbelievable. Great value bet there by George. Gets paid off by king high. So I want to point out, obviously, we still have a lot of great things that we've been trying to put in that are still going to be there for all of you subscribers and archive subscribers. We have our video blog, which is where we dissect your hands. If there's a hand that's been driving you nuts, you're not sure what you did wrong, what you did right, how you should have played it, send it to us. Bart and I will kind of dissect it or analyze it, and we'll put it in the video blog. Just make sure you put in the subject heading, hand for blog, and give us as much information about the hand as possible. We still have that. We still have my blog up there under the gun. A lot of great promotions that are going to be happening in the next few months.
That's a dichotomy of terms. Married, brought a good.
Question, I never actually went to the...
And once again, if you are already a subscriber, you need to do nothing. Just continue watching the show.
Then they could have cordoned off and got rid of some of the seats. And
Ace 10-5, Rainbow. Nobody's got an ace. I believe Mo's got the best hand here at Queen 10, and he thinks he has the best hand. He's going to bet $100.
Very good. Very good.
And I don't think anybody's going to call this. Nobody does, and Mo takes it down.
Well, I'll bring that up.
Well, I mean, if you don't, eventually they will give you that address and they're going to do something about it.
They'll make it broken.
Yeah.
I don't know the air conditioning and the speakers over the table.
I mean, the funny thing is, we get a lot of emails saying how much our commentary, how much the Live at the Bike has helped your game. People saying, wow, I've made thousands because of the advice you guys have given us from watching the show. You realize how quickly you can make back your $14.95. It's kind of funny. You see a lot of players. I actually meet a lot of people that are kind of like, they're hesitant to pay $25 for a book, a no-limit book, or any kind of poker book. And it always kind of confuses me. We got a flop Queen Jack 6 here. A couple of hearts out there. Best hand is actually Bobby with King Jack. And it checks around.
Not today?
Turn is a 9 of clubs. Changes really nothing. Amir has now picked up ace 9. He's got a pair of 9s, and he's going to bet it in position. Bobby's going to call him. Pot is about $300. Actually, not even. The pot is about $200, sorry. River's an ace, and Amir backs in the 2 pair. And if Bobby checks to me, I'm going to bet this. And Amir does. And if you're Bobby, you kind of played this hand so slowly, you're forced to throw it away, and he does. Anyway, I always talk to poker players who are kind of like, I'm not going to spend $20 on a book. I'm not going to spend $30 on a book. And I never quite understood that. I go, the amount of money you win or lose or gamble with when you're playing poker, I go, what is $20? I have considered an investment. I mean, people go to school. The funny thing is, you'll pay thousands of dollars for school. You become better at whatever you might do. And if you are a poker player, even if you're a recreational player, but you're one of those recreational players that, hey, you might win or lose a few $1,000s. $15 here, $15 there. To me, that's just an investment in your game. It's one of the reasons why I literally will buy every single book out there. Even if the book is crap, I figure, you know what? I want to know what everybody else is reading. King 9-6, limped around 4 ways. Barry with the king, and he's going to bet it. He makes it $70 to go. Pot was about $80. And Maurice is going to call with nothing. He's got ace-jack. I mean, he's really got absolutely nothing. I'm not sure why you're calling there. Well, now you caught your jack, but so? I mean, even if you catch your ace, isn't it a chance that Barry was betting with, say, ace-9?
I have it got.
One of the biggest leaks I see in a lot of players' games is when they start calling with just over cards. In this case, just one over card. And now Maurice has got himself in a spot where is he just going to keep calling? And Maurice is going to call, and you got to look at that board there. King 9-6. There aren't many draws out there. The river's a king. And you know, the funny thing is that might get Maurice to pay him off. Now you start thinking, what could Barry be betting there? The only draw out there is, say, 7-8 would be an open-ended straight draw. And Barry's going to bet $300. And you know what? That might get Maurice to pay him off. He might think, you know what? I think Barry's betting a 9 here, or maybe Barry's betting a missed draw. You know, we talk about one mistake begetting another mistake. The call on the flop. Now you pick up a little piece of it, you end up calling on the turn. Well, now the pot is almost $700, $800, and you find yourself tossing in $300. And look at this, he's going to call him, and Barry's going to win himself about $1,000 here. Maurice has played a pretty solid game all night long, and I'm just not sure exactly what he was looking to do there with ace-jack. Get a nice email here from Greg out of Delaware. Now, obviously, there are some people that are emailing us in saying, well, you know what, I've been a subscriber for 6 months, and I've seen every show. I've watched them all. What else are you guys going to give me? And, like I said, we're going to have a lot of special promotions, guest commentators, Liz Lou. We will definitely make it worth your while. I'd like to personally add, and I have not been authorized to say this, but I'd like to personally add, if you are not a subscriber, give it a shot. Click on the banner, pay $14.95, give it a shot for a couple of months. If after 2 months you don't think your game has improved and you don't think it's worthwhile, let me know you don't think it's worthwhile, cancel it, and I will send you the $30 back. Okay? Because I guarantee you, your game will improve. Even if you don't like the commentary from Bart and me, just from watching cash games, just from being able to go back and look at the archives and watching players play, your game will improve tenfold, I guarantee it. I know from doing the show, my game has improved probably 500% in the last year. Button moves over to seat number 7. That's Barry Woods. A little commotion going on in the casino. I'm not sure exactly what's going on.
Yeah, he put his limit over. The high limit. Whatever you guys want to play.
Apparently somebody dropped an entire rack of chips. 4 racks, apparently. Sorry. 4 racks of brown chips. Wow, so that's $4,000 floating on the table. 10-4-5 there. Hearts out there. Nobody's got a 10. Allen with the best hand with Jack 5. Barry's going to bet with the 4. Allen's going to call. The one thing with Allen, you never know what he's calling you with. Is he calling you with a 10? Is he calling you with a heart draw? Is he calling you with a 4 or 5? Who knows? And it goes check, check. Actually, I'm sorry. Actually, Allen checked. Barry's bet 100. And is Allen going to call here? He has the best hand, but can't take much heat. He's going to throw it away. River was a queen of diamonds. Wouldn't have changed anything. And look at that. Speaking of the devil here, we got an email here from the Viking out of Norway. He says, hello, great show. I look at it almost every night. I'd like to subscribe, but the only way I can pay is with Visa, MasterCard, or American Express. Is it possible to pay another way? I have NetTeller. Are you planning to do something with that? And as I just said, we are planning to make it accessible to NetTeller. Details to follow.
It's free.
Five ways, limped around. Amir chose not to raise an early position with tens. Not a very good flop for tens there. Ace, king, 4, but I believe the tens are still good. No, they're not actually. I'm sorry. Alan's got a king. Alan's got a weak king, king 5. And Amir bets $40 into it. Alan's going to call. Out of position. Turns a 3. Now Alan has picked up a gut shot straight draw. Catch a deuce for the straight. But Amir actually has the best hand here. And Amir's going to bet again. And Alan's going to call again. At this point, you probably put Alan on, well, you never know. Could have spades, could have a weak king. The river's a 4, changes nothing. Is Amir going to bluff at it one more time? I mean, at this point, you got to realize you're probably behind. Maybe try to get Alan off of a king. And I just don't understand, if Alan doesn't call this, you wonder, is he calling? Yeah, he's going to call. And Alan wins himself about a $700 pot. You kind of wonder, if Alan didn't call that, why would you call a turn bet? Are you calling just to catch your 5 or a deuce? And Ed, who straddled, is going to raise it up $200 more with pocket sixes, a couple of red ones. Apparently, Barry is going to strap something on. Toss $200 in there. A little more information than I needed to know, but thanks for sharing. And we're going to see this heads up. Pot's about $550. And there's the king. Pretty bad flop for 2 red sixes. And Ed bets $200 in there. And I got to tell you, do you want to raise this? Well, he's going to raise it right away. Ed kind of chuckles there.
Got a little turned around now, do you?
I mean, Ed's in such bad shape here. I mean, not only 3 overcards to him, but he doesn't even have the 6 spades in his hand. But he's going to call. Pot is now $1,400. Well, it's getting better and better for Ed. Ace of diamonds on the turn. And Ed is still in there, actually, with 2 red sixes. And it goes check, check. The turn is the river is a jack, and Barry has made a straight. But Ed is going to bet right into the nuts. Barry has the nuts. He has the absolute nuts. And Ed is betting $800 into about a $1,400 pot. It's $2,200, $800 to call. This is pretty straightforward. Barry's going to raise. And I got to tell you, if I'm Barry, I'm raising huge. It's against Ed. I am going to hope Ed somehow has a set or 2 pair. And he makes it 2,000. I think that's too small. I'd probably move in, but we'll see what happens. You got to realize that Ed probably has nothing, or he's probably got a set or maybe 2 pair. And if he's got something like that, I really want to make it difficult for him to lay it down. Now, normally when somebody raises like this, you got to start thinking about it. Would Barry raise it up with a set? Would Barry raise it up with 2 pair? You got to start thinking, what would Barry raise it here with? He probably has a 10 or nothing. In this case, he's got a 10.
King good?
Barry shows him the king, and the king was good. Didn't make a difference. Funny post here from Pojato, our esteemed potato of 2+2. He says, hey, is it a coincidence that an Asian hooker in Vegas is exactly $5,000 a night for the really kinky stuff? Nice try, Bart, but our investigation is ongoing. And here's the dialogue from Jaff 911. Bart, hey, so what can I get for $5,000, Asian girl? Anything you want.
During the back and forth in the federal bankruptcy court in New York, I think Brennan would come in around 3 o'clock in the morning, knock on the door.
Funny post here from Whalecock. He says, you know, I pay for HBO and Cinemax, so I guess I could pay for Live at the Bike. Wait a second. HBO and Cinemax has tits and softcore porn. Step it up, Live. Hey, we've got things coming, okay?
One in like Brazil or something. Also have two sides. One it's like this, and the other is this.
Oh my goodness! Oh my goodness! I checked.
And Mo is going to make it 150 to go with Queen Jack. He's got nothing. And Ed's going to call with a weak ace. Pot is about $500 to the turn. 10 on the turn changes nothing. Mo still with the gut shot straight draw. He's going to need a king and only a king to win this pot. They're going to check it. And the river is an 8. Changes nothing. And Ed's going to check it. And is Mo going to bluff that? Now, Ed's got a lot of respect for Mo, but he's going to call. And I got to tell you, if you're watching this game, do you really want to be bluffing Ed? No need to try to run him over. You really just want to make hands and make him pay for it. Button moves over to seat number 3. Small blind 10, big blind 20. Folds around to Amir, who's got the good old Jack 9 offsuit, and he limps in. And the flop is ace 7. Ace 7 Jack. Amir with the best hand, and it checks to him. He's going to bet $40. Takes it down. Hey, this is kind of funny. Potato, I can always count on a potato here. How to afford the Live at the Bike archives. Number 1, don't drive to Starbucks. Walk, save on gas. Number 2, don't buy a $4 Starbucks latte. Number 3, make one value bet on the river like Tuck says. Number 4, don't sign up for events you aren't going to play. I gotta tell you, that's funny. That's some funny shit. Oh, man.
I love that part. Oh my God, yeah.
Ed with ace king there, and he limps in. Now see the difference here. Ed raising it with ace 7 and pocket 6 is out of position. But with ace king and pocket jacks in position, he decides just to limp in.
That's what it should be.
Now, you probably want to put more money in the pot when you're in position. not out of
Having
position.
your car.
Checks around the Ed, and he's going to bet $80, and that'll probably take it down. Everybody's missed.
Banging his wife.
Button's going to move over to seat number 5.
Priceless. Banging his girlfriend. Yeah, apparently somebody
Really
cash car.
Why the hell would someone do that?
Well,
Because he went to
I mean,
the gym and
it's-
he took 2 spaces off, that's why.
oh, is that what
Oh,
happened?
in the gym or here?
Yeah, he parked it at the gym and down at the OC and he took 2 spaces off there. Like,
That's good.
he just
He
talks like
deserves.
Yeah.
He thinks he's got a Bentley, he thinks he owns the place on a special. Man, he doesn't deserve it still.
I just went out of town.
Yeah, those cars sometimes I see where he's up two spaces. Occupied 2 spaces.
Yeah, he would have had less damage parking.
Ace King suited here for Ed.
Having somebody bang his car.
Actually, I'm sorry, that's Ace King suited for Amir. And he raises it up to $80. Ed's going to call with a Queen 10 offsuit. And we're going to see this heads up. Amir versus Ed. Flop comes out 9 high, 9-4-3. Both players miss, and it checks around. Turn is a 9. And I think if you're Amir, you got to realize you're probably the best hand here, but it checks again. And the river's a 10, and Amir lets Ed get there, and Ed's going to win this with Queen 10. Amir played the Ace King real passively.
Also do worse for the environment. You gotta paint the car now, so you got more toxic fumes going.
Button moves over to seat 6. That's Kenny Wynn. We haven't heard much from Kenny all night long. He's played it real tight, like he always does.
Parked it again on the same type of same day. Just hung out in the Central Market.
Allen is under the gun. He's first act.
Did it and watched his car over his house. Just break the windshield, the lights, smash the doors, pop the tires.
You would do that?
Yeah, oh yeah. Oh my God. Fuck his car up. Then I
Alright, bro.
Ed's going to limp in there. Kenny's going to limp in on the button.
crippled mother inside. Don't fuck with me.
And Barry's going to toss his dime in there with his pocket deuces. And we're going to see a flop 4 ways. Ace, ace, 4. Everybody misses. Apparently, Ed and Mo are playing the pair game. Mo has got aces.
Barry, make a move.
And this checks around.
While you were building the paying.
Oh, actually, no, I'm sorry. And I believe it's still going to check around. It does. Turn is a 4, and that counterfeits Barry's deuces. His hand was the best, but now he's got garbage. He's got aces and 4s and the deuce kicker. Wow, and the board is going to play. Nobody can beat the board. Is anybody going to take a shot at this, though? Yeah, they're going to chop this up 4 ways.
I'll play the board.
All 4 players have aces and 4s with a king kicker.
Three-way split.
First, Barry got counterfeited, and then Kenny's queen got killed.
I had the best goddamn hand. Look at you, fucker.
And we're going to chop this up 4 ways.
I think,
Once again, I want to remind people, if you are already a subscriber, nothing changes. The only thing that changes is we are going to bring you more promotions, more free rolls, more special guest appearances. So the $14.95 you are already paying for the archives is just going to give you more. If you are not an archive subscriber, I urge you to join. I think it's really worth it.
not to offend any of the
Obviously, we've got our guest promotion, special, our guest commentator promotion. We were giving $500 to whoever wins to play in a cash game. You're also getting 6 months of archive subscribes. 6 months for free. And you also get free rolls. We have 2 $1,500 free rolls already set up. Ace 8-3 limped around 6 ways. Ed with the best hand here with Ace 9. And he's going to put a little bet in there. He makes $70 bet into about a $120 pot. And I don't think anybody can call him here.
All right, chase him all the way out. All the way.
I already have.
Do it.
I got a pair.
Oh my God, you do?
And
Okay.
Allen actually called with a couple of 6s.
I got 2 pairs.
You do have 2 pairs? Let's put in $100 just for the hiccup. Not for the money. Just
Your pair was an 8. 100. I had the pair. You had the pair of 8. Yeah.
I don't have a pair of 8s.
Now, Allen can beat a flush draw. He can beat Miss Spades. That's about it.
If I have trips, I won't take the money.
Ed pretty sure that he has the best hand here. And Alan's going to pay him off.
I got an ace.
And Ed wins himself a nice small little $400 pot.
I told you about trips, I won't pick up the money.
Nice answer.
Nine.
Once again, we're live at the bike. I'm David Tuckman, here to bring you No Limit Hold'em blinds your 10 and 20. Doing the show solo tonight, Bart Hansen is in Vegas at the World Series, giving away money. Nice post here from Copper Drake on 2+2. 7-6-4 all clubs. Once again, limped around. Once again, real passive table pre-flop. Making Ronnie's job real hard tonight. Well, Barry's got he's got a gut shot straight draw. He also has a 10 of clubs in his hand, and he's going to bet it. And Alan is going to make it 200. He's got a straight. He's flopped the straight. He does not have a club in his hand, though.
So fucking predictable. So fucking unbelievable. Gut shot, flush draw. Wow. That's a lot of
Are you using?
And obviously Barry not going to get involved with the 10 of clubs there. Alan chosen the straight.
Fuck you and the horseshoe.
Not a hand you can take much heat there with 8-5 of diamonds.
Wait, I need a key for his car. Let me get a key.
I'll give you my key.
Some blue, please. No, actually, I gotta go to the restroom. Can you hold it for me? Because I don't want to get my hands dirty. He's thinking about it. Look at that. He's thinking about it. That's sick.
Hold it for
Well, usually I just tap it with my foot, but you know, I need somebody that's.
That's your horse that you tap with your foot. Not your
Great watermelon.
Button moves over to seat number 9. And it appears that Amir has made it $50 more to go out of the small blind with King Queen. Once again, a tough hand to play out of position. I mean, that's a tough hand to play in position. But out of position, really tough. And we're going to see it 4 ways. It is a $280 pot. There's the ace, ace 8-3. And Maurice has outflopped everybody. That's not going to stop Ed from betting with a pair of threes. He bets $50 into a $280 pot. And I think if you're Maurice, you're going to put a little raise in there, see where you're at. And he does. He makes it 150. And Ed quickly calls. Ed needs a 3 or a 6 here. King on the turn changes nothing. And a 10 on the river changes nothing either. And this is probably going to, well, Ed bets $200 here. And I just don't think that's enough to get Maurice off the hands. You got to realize the pot is about $580 with that $200 bet. The pot is about $750, $200 to call. You're giving the guy almost 4 to 1 on his money. How can he not call? Ed obviously not realizing that if you're going to bluff with that pot, you probably could bluff at it, but you're going to have to bluff more than just $200. $200 is just not going to get it done. That's kind of a I want you to call me bet.
The good thing I learned that food service gal that I'm taking my medication if I don't have. You want to light up?
There we go. We got $40,000 on the table. George has got the table covered. He's got $6,300. Mo with $5,800. Barry with $57. Maurice with $56. Let's see how they're doing. Well, George is our big winner so far. He's up $5,000. Not bad at all. Maurice is up $3,100. Alan up $2,800. Ed down a quick $10K. $10,000. And this is not a crazy game. I mean, that's a big loss in a game like this where there's not much pre-flop raising. Now, obviously, if you're playing in a game with Corporation Mike and Jason Katsutani, players like that, winning or losing $4,000 or $5,000 is not a big deal. But in this game, that's a lot of money. This flop completely misses everybody. It's ace-10 deuce, couple of hearts. Actually, well, Ed's got a flush draw. If he bets his draw, he'll probably take it down.
I love it.
And there's the flush. 6 of hearts on the turn. Is Ed going to bet it, though? And he checks around. If another heart comes, Amir will beat him. And the river's a jack. And Bobby is going to bet it. He bets it with 2 pair. He bets $40. Amir calls with a pair of jacks. And what is Ed going to do here? And he is going to raise it. He makes it $240. And he says, I have a very small flush. Did Bobby call? I don't think Bobby called. Ed kind of showed it to him. And Bobby did not call. It's tough to get paid off, obviously, your value bets in the river. They're tough to get paid off if you tell your opponent what you have and show them before they call. Once again, live at the bike, we bring you live cash games every Monday through Friday from 7 to 10 Pacific time. We also have another exciting development coming on soon. King 7-6 here. Kenny with now 2 pair with a 3 on the turn. Wow, and Bobby has made 2 pair as well. We got 2 pair over 2 pair. Bobby in terrible shape here. Amir's got nothing. And Bobby has bet $130, and if you're Kenny, I think you've got to raise this up. He just calls. Wow, how do you just call that? And they checked the river down. I just don't understand exactly. I mean, are you here to make money? I mean, I got to tell you, on a board of King 7-6-3, okay, my opponent's either got a king, and I want to charge him for it. My opponent's got 2 pair, and probably smaller than my 2 pair. He's probably got 7-6. Or my opponent has a diamond draw. In that case, I'm going to make him pay for it as well. Just not sure exactly why Kenny's doing that. I understand, you know, hey, goodwill to your neighbor, but I'm here to make some money. We're going to play a little short for a couple of minutes. We've got 5 players at the table. Bobby going to put a little raise in there. He's got ace-7 offsuit. Mo's going to call him with, he's dominated here. He's got 10-7. And that's probably going to bring Amir in here. He's got queen-9 of diamonds. And we're going to see this 3 ways. Pot's about $300. And there's the flop, ace, 8-7-6. Amir's open-ended. Bobby's got the best hand right now at ace-7. Now, Mo has got a gut shot with second pair. And it was a $130 bet. Both players call. And we quickly have a $700 pot. Wow, and there's the 10 of diamonds. Now, Amir has a straight with the flush draw. Mo has got 2 pair, and Bobby's got pretty much nothing now. And Mo bets $300. Amir smooth calls him. Oh, I got to tell you, if you're Amir, why not bet it? Why not raise it up right there? Oh, man. And Mo has bet $500 in the river blind. Pot is $1,800, $500 to call. And I got to tell you, if you're Amir, I think you have to raise this. Why would you put, I mean, I guess Mo could have Jack-9. He definitely could. You got to be aware of that. It's one of the reasons I probably would have raised the turn if I'm Amir. And is he just going to call this? He's definitely going to call. He's contemplating, should I raise or not? Look at it. He's tortured here. Is there value to raising? And he's just going to call. And Amir is going to take it down. Mo could have had Jack-9, obviously. It would have been open-ended. You got to realize that if you raise it, if you're Amir, you reopen it, and Mo could pop it back with Jack-9, and then you're in a tough spot. Amir wins himself a nice pot. Apparently, Jack Zwerner has won the Omaha High-Low $2,000 event, won himself a gold bracelet, and earned $341,000. Congratulations to Jack Zwerner. Apparently, Rusty Mandep came in second place. Yeah. Apparently, tournament director over at Hawaiian Gardens. Second place, not bad at all. Button moves over to Kenny Wynn's spot in seat 6. Amir in first position. He's under the gun. Now the funny thing is that Amir loves to make moves on Mo, and Mo knows that. And if Amir had raised on the turn, I don't think Mo goes anywhere. I really don't. Queen, 6 deuce, rainbow. 8 of spades on the turn, and checked around in the flop. Amir's going to take a shot at it now with king high, and he's going to take it down. The post here from Copper Drake. It says, Tuck, Alan and Mo look bigger on TV. They're actually pretty small in real life. Post from Copper. Yeah, don't you know the internet actually adds 10 pounds to you? 10 pounds and 4 inches. Ace-Jack suited here from Mo, and he makes it $200. Big raise there. Nobody calls.
No, for his white chip, he had 20 and all that. Yeah.
Okay, do that. Hello, Sheila. How's Sheila? Sheila's good tonight. It's good to see that Sheila is good tonight.
Button's in seat number 9.
Let me come there.
You can't see it.
I can't read from here. What are we eating? I can't read from here.
Mo decides not to raise with pocket sixes, and we're going to see this limped around 6 ways. $120 pot. Once again, big multi-way pot. Ace, king, 9, 2 clubs. I believe Kenny with the best hand here with king, queen. He also has the queen of clubs, just in case he comes runner. Ed is going to bet, though, with second pair, no kicker. He makes it $60 to go. And Kenny's going to smooth call this.
Three players.
Turn is a 5, and look at that. Allen makes two pair. He spikes 2 pair on the turn. And Ed bets $50. The 5 shouldn't change anything. If Kenny thought he had the best hand before, he probably still has the best hand. Problem is, those Allen called behind you.
150.
And Kenny is going to raise it up here. And if you're Allen, I don't think you're going anywhere. And Allen's going to re-raise. $50 bet from Ed. Makes it $150 Kenny win. And Allen has made it now $400. And if you're Kenny Wynn, I think it's easily time to go. I think Allen's probably got aces up, and in this case, he's got 9s up. But
King 5, Allen?
Ace 5.
yeah, and somebody says king 5, ace 5, 9-5. What's the difference? You know, if Allen's raising the turn there, you know he's got minimum of 2 pair. Takes down the pot.
Sick, man.
Yes, I am.
Post here from Steve Lantfit, actually an email. He says, hey, Dave. Hey, is Corporation Mike playing in the World Series of Poker? Just wondering. Thanks and keep up the great work, Steve. I don't think he's playing the tournaments. I think he went down to Vegas to play some cash games. But he's kind of sworn off tournaments. The one problem with Mike's game, as aggressive as he is, you'd think that his game lends to tournaments. Problem is, though, is that Mike really only has 1 gear. And he probably isn't patient enough to play in tournaments. Post here from William Kim. He says, Hey, Dave, I'll pay you if you call me when Ed is playing at the bike. Good grief, are there a lot of players like Ed at the bike? You know, you got to realize Ed's a real smart guy. Ed, like a lot of very successful businessmen, he's here to have a good time. He's not a professional poker player. He doesn't pretend to be. He doesn't want to be. He makes a lot of money in his own business. He's here to have a good time. So he's going to play a lot of hands. He's going to mix it up a lot. And that's what he's here to have a good time for. If anybody remembers, about 3 weeks ago, I want to say Ed won about $20,000 in our 2040 game.
90.
Gave Mike Wu one of the most brutal beats of all time. Ed has raised it out of the blind with King Jack suited. Maurice calls. He's got him dominated in clubs. And Amir calls. And we're going to see this 3 ways. Pot is $270.
3 players.
And look at the clubs. Uh-oh. This could get ugly. Ed is going to bet. Flop is queen, 6-4, 2 clubs. Ed bets $110. Mo is going to call this. And I got to tell you, I like the smooth call here. I don't want to raise on the come against Ed. I really want to hit my hand and make him pay. And Amir is going to overcall. Wow, with 9s. And there's the king, and now Ed is the best hand. God, Ed was in terrible shape here, but the king of spades on the turn, and now he's spiked. He's got the best hand here. And he bets 300 into about a $500 pot. Amir's going to get rid of it, and this pot is quickly $1,000. The turn is the river's a queen, changed nothing. And if you're Ed, I think you got to bet a value bet here. And he bets $500 into the pot, and Maurice can do nothing but throw his hand away. And I don't mind the way Maurice played his hand. Normally, you know, I like to play my draws aggressively. But against a player like Ed, I really want to see if I can hit my club and then make him pay off. Nice email here from Steve. He says, hey, even if you have no erection problems, soft Cialis would help you make better sex more often. Well, thanks a lot, Steve. Appreciate it. Ben Turpin wants to know if there's any chance of getting PayPal as a subscription payment option. Well, we'll look into that.
Still wouldn't go for it. But Hog jumped up.
And we're going to see this limped around 4 ways. $80 pot, Jack 7-5, Rainbow. George is flop top 2. Once again, George in there with a suited Jack in late position. I got to tell you, so rarely do I want to be in there with a hand like Jack 7. But it's worked okay for George. Ed is bet with bottom pair. Deuce of spades, and George calls him. Goes check, check. And now George is going to bet right into Ed, and Ed, I don't think, can call this. George takes down a pretty small pot.
Was there Jack 7? I guess. Shut up, to you. Who's asking?
There was Jack 7 on the flop.
There was, because I had 2 pair, man. It was Jack 7.
You had 2 pair?
Yeah. What do you mean, no?
You don't play Jack 7. What the crap is that?
No, I played Jack 7.
You played Jack 7. Honestly, you didn't see that, right? She turned the cards.
Interesting post here from John James. Email.
I don't know what Jack 7 is.
Isn't it when it goes in the...
Yeah, that watermelon looks so good. Dying for a piece. Actually, kind of cool. We have a new sushi restaurant at the Bicycle Casino. I think the grand opening is actually tomorrow, but it's already open at half price right now. Pretty good food. I gotta tell you, since I've been working here for over 2 years, I've pretty much eaten everything at the bike. So I'm very excited about a new restaurant. Mo makes it $70 to go with 7-4 clubs. And Alan calls with King Jack. We're going to see this heads up. Well, Mo has picked up a gut shot straight draw. He needs a 5 for the straight. Alan has picked up top pair, though.
Why do you think I'm not betting you at the fucking end?
And Mo bets 140 and Alan calls. Turn is a 3, changes nothing. And Mo checks and Alan's going to bet. And that'll probably be it for it. I mean, Allen will so rarely bet a draw. I mean, even if Allen had 7-9 here, I don't know if Allen would bet it. You almost have to know Allen's got a king, and there he shows it. Okay, post here from John James says, hey, don't educate the fish. Hey, Dave, it's a great show, but I will not tell any of the fish at my casino about you all. The less they know, the better for me. Keep up the good work. Love the cash game shows, but some tournaments are also good for the education. Because we cash players will donate to tournament games sometimes, and it's a whole different game. It helps to watch how good players play all hands, not just a few select hands. Post here from John James, and he says, hey, I'm an archive subscriber, of course. Pocket sevens for Barry. Hey, once in a while, we'll put like a tournament type. We'll put a sit and go here or a satellite.
240 total.
And, wow, Barry's going to make it $240. Allen calls with ace-king. And I got to tell you, if an ace or a king come off here, Barry's going to explode. Allen just drives him absolutely nuts. And I got to tell you, if you're George, you are deep enough to make this call, no question. No question you can call this.
Of course, man. You think I'm going to lay it down?
You got to realize you're talking about implied odds here. You're already getting 2-1. If this flop somehow comes off ace-6 blank, you could make a lot of money. You got to also remember you are in position.
4% chance. 4% chance.
Well, are you getting 25 to 1 here?
And he's going to call. Wow, and this pot is quickly. Now, Bobby's hand with Queen, 9 of hearts, I just don't think Bobby is deep enough to make this call. But he's going to call anyway, and this pot is about $1,000. $1,000 to the flop.
4 players.
And there it is, 10-3 deuce. Barry still with the best hands. But how does he know that at this point? Man, he's in first position. Really tough spot. And he's going to have to put out a nice hefty bet, and that's the problem with playing this hand out of position. He's going to bet $600. Pretty strong bet, about 60% of the pot. Easy laydown for Allen. He's got absolutely nothing. And what does George do with pocket sixes?
Give him my 220 back?
And I'm not sure exactly what George is thinking about here. I mean, you got to realize that this is a big pot here. You're playing your sixes for a set. I mean, if you really think you're the best hand, if you think Barry's got ace-king, I mean, I guess you can raise him off it and take it right now. But you got to realize, okay, Barry could have ace-king, but he could also have tens, jacks, queens. George really thinks he has the best hand here. King of diamonds on the turn. Wow. Allen had taken one off. He gets there, but how does he know that?
You're not going to code me into showing you. Trust me, I had the best.
And Barry's right. He did have the best hand.
What'd you have, Alan? I'll tell you.
Once again, we will continue to bring you the only show out there to bring you all of the action. Remember, when you're watching poker on TV, you are seeing just the highlights. You're seeing the edited show. You're seeing the best 8 or 9 hands. You don't get to see the whole story. This is the only place where you see everything. You see every single hand. You see how somebody sets up somebody. You see the setup bluff. You know why somebody does something. It always kind of frustrates me when I watch a tournament on the World Poker Tour and I see some guy make a bluff and I don't understand why because I didn't see the 10 hands prior to that one. Mo with ace-king in the big blind, and I think he's going to raise this up. And he is.
Hey.
It is here.
140 more.
I'm raising. Already my money is there.
Makes it $140 more to play. And I don't think anybody's going to call. Nobody does.
I just gonna want to check my card.
Let's
No,
bring it.
I had 10-8. 10-8.
10-8.
I would have got it. I would have got there. Whatever. Yeah. 16 against.
Once again, we are here the rest of the week. Bart will be in Vegas till Monday. but I will be here. Probably have a guest commentator with me tomorrow night. I've got a couple of people coming in the booth tomorrow night, and probably Friday night as well. Button's in seat number 7. George is under the gun. Barry's got ace-jack on the button. If everybody folds to him, imagine he's probably going to raise this up. But Ed makes it $80 to go with a nothing hand. He's got king-6 offsuit. And Barry's going to call him. Now, normally I don't like to call raises with ace-jack offsuit, but on the button against Ed, I probably call also.
2 players.
Big? Then you got me big.
Wow, what a flop. Ace, ace, jack on that flop, and Barry has flopped the absolute nuts. The absolute nuts. And look at the check mark next to Barry's name. Ed cannot win this hand. There are no cards that can come off to make Ed a winner. Barry thinking about how to play it here. Ed bets, Barry calls. 6 on the turn. Well, Ed's got a pair of 6s. Now you got to realize, okay, now Ed bet and Barry called. You got to start thinking, what did Barry call me with? But Ed is going to continue betting here. Barry doing the old pout there. And Barry's going to probably just call this, I assume. Now, the only thing I'm going to say, well, it doesn't really make a difference. The only thing you're saying is, if Ed has an ace, somehow he has an ace also, you really want to get more money in the pot. Wow, and look at that. I cannot believe it. Ed makes a full house on the river. He has 6s full of aces. I can't believe this, but he's got to realize that if Barry had an ace, you can't beat him anyway. Remember, you can only beat, if you're Ed, you can only beat diamonds here. Do you really think Barry was calling you the whole time down with a jack only? Oh, my. I got to tell you, though, if you're Barry, I'm moving all in. I really am. Because I'm hoping Ed has an ace. Because if Ed has an ace, he's going to call my all in. There I am. Boom. Pow. No, too little. Come on, Barry. You got to put the heat on him. Now, in this case, Ed only has a 6, and he's probably going to call him anyway. But I got to tell you, this is definitely a missed opportunity. Look, Ed is going to call, and Barry's going to win. But you got to realize the missed opportunity there. If Ed has the ace, there's no way you're putting Ed on a 6 here. There's no way, okay? I will literally chop off my left nut, roll it on the table if Barry tells me that, oh, I knew Ed had a 6. There's no way. But if you think there's even the slightest chance Ed has an ace, there's no way he gets off of it. Even with a bad kicker, because Ed's going to think that he has aces full, and he's going to chop it up. He's not going to throw it away. He's going to go, okay, I guess we chop. But Barry's got the absolute nuts there. He only loses to pocket 6s. Oh, man. I mean, some people can make the argument, they can go, well, if he raises more, though, can Ed get away from a 6? Yeah, I suppose he can. But how do you put him on a 6? Remember, if you raise it all, you got to assume that Ed is either going to call you with an ace and fold pretty much anything else. Unbelievable. Those are dream situations where you hope your opponent has the ace, because you have the absolute nuts. Oh, man. I mean, hey, Ed's got pocket 6s there, man. All the power to you.
5 players.
$10-3-3 out there. Limped around 5 ways. Nobody's got anything.
50.
Bobby's going to take a shot at it, though. He bets $50 in position. And nobody's got much of anything. That's a nice board to bluff into. One of the reasons I like bluffing into a board like that, you look at it, 10-3-3 rainbow. There's no straight draw. There's no flush draw. And unless somebody's got a 10, a 3, or a pocket pair, they can't really call. So right away, you kind of know where you're at. Sometimes if you bluff into a board that's draw heavy, you're not sure. Is somebody calling you a top pair? Is somebody calling me with a flush draw? Who knows?
Black straddle.
Live straddle here out of Ed. Four ways here. Straddled pots, so we got $160 to the flop. 10, 7, 4, all spades. Now, a few players have spades here. Amir's got a pair of tens, though, and he's going to bet it. I mean, he can take absolutely no heat whatsoever. Now, nobody else has really got much of anything. Alan's going to call with queen 8 with the 8 of spades. Well, now Alan has picked up a gut shot. Actually, he's got a double gutter. A 5 gives him a straight, and a 9 gives him a straight, and the spade gives him the flush, and Alan's got the best hand here. And, you know, and you just wonder, when he turns it over, Amir's kind of like look at it going, what did you call me with on the flop? Yeah, and George just wondering there, how do you call that with queen 8? Unbelievable. So apparently tomorrow we've got our mini series of poker here. We've got a no limit hold'em event starting at 7:15 p.m. $250 entry fee. The World Series of Poker tomorrow apparently is a, let's see what it is. We actually have two events tomorrow, event 11 and 12. Limit hold'em event, $1,500 starting at noon. And then the 2 p.m. start, $5,000 Omaha High-Low split event, which Bart will be playing in. And that is 2 p.m. tomorrow. So wish Bart all the luck in the world. Hopefully he can make back his first $5,000 plus some extra money. I tell you, if there's a poker god out there, Bart will do well.
Did anybody call?
6 players.
Respect you get here.
Ed's going to make it $200 to go here. Flop is king 9-7, all two diamonds. Ed in there with, all he's got is bottom pair. He's got absolutely nothing. The flop once again is king 9-7. There it is. I don't know if anybody can call this, though. I really don't. And Ed's going to take this down. Nice bet by Ed there. Post here from Copper Drake, I want to read it because, obviously Ed is there to have fun, quote unquote, but don't all pros make their living off of players just like Ed? Rich businessmen, guys just trying to have fun. I don't think pros make much or lose much from each other. A player like Ed can make or break their month, true or not. Yeah, and pretty much you are right. That's one of the reasons why game selection is so huge. One of the reasons why Bart and I, both of us were props here for quite a while. I propped here for 2 years. Bart for 1 year. One of the reasons why I stopped propping was because I thought game selection was such a huge part of the game. I used to talk to Barry Greenstein about this, and he actually pointed me in that direction where, game selection is probably 50% of being a winning player. I talk about it all the time. If you are the 10th best player in the world, but you are playing with 9 of your 9 better players, you're going to be a losing player in the long run.
5 players.
But if you're the 10th worst player in the world, but you're playing with 9 bigger fish than you can win. And what is it all about? It's really about winning, isn't it?
Yes.
I know some players want to improve their game. They want to challenge themselves. But I talked to Barry Greenstein. He goes, you know what? I don't care about challenging myself. I want to win. Alan there with top pair, and he's going to bet it. Surprise, surprise. Normally when Alan bets, he's got something pretty good. And in this case, he's got, he's got king 10. He had top pair. Kind of a mediocre kicker. Got a chip count coming up here. Almost 40,000 on the table. Barry's got the table covered. Let's see how they're doing. Final chip count of the night. George up still $5K. Wow. Alan up $3,800. Maurice up $3. Barry up $1,300. Ed and Mo are our big losers. Mo down $2,100. Ed down $12,300. Wow. One thing with Ed's game, he's either going to win a lot of money or lose a lot of money. Got a couple more hands tonight.
The Enron guy died today.
What? Died? You're kidding me.
Who died?
Ken Lay.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Which Ken?
20 to you.
And didn't get a chance to serve any of his time or anything, did he? What a bastard.
My God.
You know
He
you
was
can
a
afford
nice
a
guy,
body
but
dog
anyway.
natural, but yeah,
He was a nice
yeah,
guy.
him and Keating too, I'm sure.
He was a nice cook.
We're going to see this 4 ways, limped around.
That figure.
I mean, look at the garbage out there. I mean, Amir limping in late position with 9-4 suited. I just don't know what you're trying to hit. I mean, I got to tell you, if I'm going to play that hand, which I'm not going to play very often, but if I'm going to play that hand, I'm going to raise it in position, take control of the pot. And Allen actually bluffed at it with 7 deuce. Look at that. Stick that in your pipe and smoke it. I got to tell you, if you could somehow roll Allen up into a joint and smoke him, man, that'd be some good stuff.
That couldn't happen to nice again.
Button was over to seat number 4. Ace-Jack suited here in first position for Barry. He's got to limp in. And as goes the night, we're going to have to see it limped around 6 ways. $120 pot. Not a very good flop for Ace-Jack suited here. Actually, not really a good flop for anybody. And they all check it around here. It's all clubs there. Queen 8-7 with the 10 of clubs on the turn. And I believe Ed has the best hand here with the Jack of clubs. And Amir bets it with the 6 of clubs. Ed calls.
And you guys got a club?
Doesn't matter.
Why you going to straight
It's
now?
$40, Barry.
I can't afford it.
Ed throws it away. I'm sorry, Barry throws it away, and we're heads up here. Ed cannot lose his hand. The river is a king. And it checks down here, and Ed's going to take it down with the Jack of clubs. And this is going to be the last hand of the night. I want to thank you all for joining us tonight. Tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Pacific time, I'll be back here. Bart's still in Vegas. We'll have updates, though. Hopefully he'll have a lot of chips.
Hey, I made my
And I'll probably be in here with a guest commentator or 2 tomorrow night. Probably have some sort of 5-5 blind game tomorrow night. Maybe a 3-5 game. We'll see. Button is in seat 5. Bo's under the gun. He's not going to play.
I only do that to Amir now. Okay, and Kenny and Bobby and George and
Ed's going to limp in. Maurice is going to limp in. Kenny's going to complete. And we're going to see this 4 ways. $80 pot.
Mike in Las Vegas?
Mo, did I pay you the 100 for the 2?
Ace, King, 4, all clubs again.
Is that all that's in the deck of clubs?
Apparently this deck's got 21 clubs. As opposed to the normal allocation of 13. King of hearts on the turn changes nothing. And I'm saying Amir's got the best hand here with a pair of aces, but he's not in the hand.
I feel good about my hand.
I had a feeling I should have.
Barry's going to take a shot at it, and he wins it. And so goes it. And that is going to do it for us. Pretty interesting night of No Limit Hold'em. I want to thank you all for joining us tonight. Bear with us. Tomorrow night we will have probably, like I said, a 5-5 game, maybe a 3-5 game. I'll be back here. Bart's in Vegas. Cheer him on. And I'll be in here with a guest commentator. Thank you very much. And I will see you tomorrow.
It's here. It's big. And it's closer than you think. It's not a tournament. It's what you don't see on TV. The cash is real. The stakes are high. They bet big. They win big. They lose big. High stakes live action poker. Live at the bike. Watch it live on the web or play it if you dare at the Bicycle Casino right here in Los Angeles.